guys. Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts together once more. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while, but I guess it was just last Friday. Today is the 23rd of November. Yesterday was Thanksgiving. I want to thank the comedian who did the driving signs on our local Highway 275. It said, "The turkey says, buckle, buckle." And another one said, "Don't drive sauced. Leave that to the cranberries."
Boom, boom,
boom, boom,
boom,
ching. We had a late night with you guys. We had a beautiful spread, actually. Let me pull this up so I can actually show you. My mom was like, you should show them what it looked like, how it was better. Like, I can't show you that we cleaned the kitchen, but I can show you what our spread looked like. Let's see if I can get that up. That was our, why am I struggling here? That was our Thanksgiving table. That in the center is the Forefathers Monument, and I'm going to do a video on that to show you guys about that. I got it for my birthday from Plymouth, Massachusetts. So anyway, we had a beautiful dinner. Leah made lemon meringue pie with you guys. If you were not with us last night, then you missed an excellent time. We ate Thanksgiving. Now, see, most people eat Thanksgiving dinner from 11 to 2 sometimes in the afternoon. We kind of started ours between 11 and 2 in the morning. It was fine. We were busy outside all day long. I came straight in from working on the deck, quite literally, just now. So, unsupported resolution. I don't know why this thing gives me trouble.
Okay, so does that mean we're...
It just means it's too low. I don't know what the deal is.
People can see us.
They can see us. I hope that you're still with us, and I hope you heard all that. I'm sure Facebook Live is doing great.
We have talked about Julian Assange. And this sealed indictment that's been kind of unsealed, I guess. I don't know. I always want to keep Julian Assange in the public eye because just like with an Alex Jones, on the journalistic side, Julian Assange is all of us.
Right.
And the media went all ballistic because Jim Acosta was so rude, and he stood up in a presidential meeting, and demanded 3 questions, hit a girl in the arm, started screaming at the president, and got his press pass revoked. Julian Assange knew, I don't know how, that the United States did have an indictment ready against him. And people are saying that it's under Trump. It's under Trump's DOJ. And a lot of people are angry at Trump who are Julian Assange WikiLeaks supporters. And I would make a plea to Donald Trump and say, I know that this is not your DOJ. Jeff Sessions is proof that this is not your Department of Justice. This is still Obama's Department of Justice.
Right.
You have not switched anything over. There are still deep staters who want Julian Assange out, and people who are very connected to the Clintons.
Right.
So anybody who wants Julian Assange indicted is connected to the Clintons and the Bushes, because WikiLeaks became famous by letting the world know what was going on in Iraq.
Right.
And that blue is really nice. That's really nice.
Thank you.
But this assault on the press, you're not hearing it right. You're not hearing the way the press is saying you shouldn't go after Julian Assange. Like, they stood up for Edward Snowden.
Right.
They stood up
because he was a liberal.
For Chelsea Manning.
Right.
Chelsea Manning, as in the man who had a sex change. Do you say that nowadays?
Yeah.
But the news of Assange's indictment came out in a really weird way. It was in an unrelated case in Virginia, in arguing to seal a federal child endangerment charge against someone with no connection to WikiLeaks. The government, ironically, mentioned Assange as an example of why sealing it is the only surefire way to keep an indictment under wraps. Well, it didn't work out right. Due to the sophistication of the defendant and the publicity surrounding the case, no other procedure is likely to keep confidential the fact that Assange has been charged. And here it is.
It was kind of an oops, but I don't think anything like that is ever an oops.
I think maybe it was for us to know, or somebody is on Assange's side.
Right.
Maybe. That could be, right?
Yeah.
So Assange's lawyer, Barry Pollack, told the Rolling Stone that he has not been informed that Mr. Assange has been charged, or any nature of any charges. Pollack and other sources could not be sure, but within the WikiLeaks camps, it's believed that this charge, if it exists, is not connected to the last election. I would think it is not related to the 2016 election, since that would seem to fall within the purview of the Office of Special Counsel.
Okay.
If you hate Assange because of his role in the 2016 race, please take a deep breath and consider that a criminal charge that does not involve the 2016 election might involve the 2016 election might mean. An Assange prosecution could give the Trump presidency broad new powers to put Trump's media enemies in jail. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. But this is the liberal case,
right?
And so I want to read it instead of just yanking a credential or two. Jim Acosta is a minor flap in comparison. Although Assange may not be a traditional journalist in terms of motive, what he does is essentially indistinguishable from what news agencies do, and what happens to him will profoundly, in fact, impact journalism. Reporters regularly publish stolen, hacked, and illegally obtained material. A case that defined such behavior as criminal conspiracy would be devastating. It would have every reporter in the country ripping national security sources out of their Rolodexes and tossing them in the trash. I mean, we hear about it every single day. A source.
Right.
Where do you think these sources come from? A lot of anti-Trump reporting has involved high-level leaks. Investigation of such leaks has reportedly tripled under Trump, even compared to the administration of Barack Obama, who himself prosecuted a record number of leakers. Although this may seem light years from the behavior of WikiLeaks, the legal issues are similar. Although it's technically true that the Assange indictment could be about anything, we do have some hints about what it is likely about. Back in 2014, search warrants were served to Google in connection with WikiLeaks that listed causes of criminal action then being considered. Google informed WikiLeaks of the warrants. You can see the list of the correspondence on the Rolling Stone in the link here. The government back then, again, this predated 2016, Rodgers, Stone, Lucifer 2.0, everybody, was looking at espionage, conspiracy to commit espionage, theft or conversion of property belonging to the United States government, violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, and conspiracy. The investigation probably goes back to 2010 in connection with the release of the ex-Army private Chelsea Manning, his collateral murder video. That footage showed American forces in Iraq firing on a routed journalist and laughing about civilian casualties. While much of the progressive media world applauded this exposure of George W. Bush's Iraq war, the government immediately began looking for ways to prosecute. The Sydney Herald reported that the FBI opened its investigation of Assange after Private Manning's arrest in May of 2010. Ironically, one of the first public figures to call for Assange to be punished was Donald Trump, who in 2010 suggested the death penalty. While Trump complained, WikiLeaks became an international sensation and a darling of the progressive set. It won a host of journalism prizes, including the Amnesty International New Media Award in 2009. But a lot of press people seemed to approve of WikiLeaks only insofar as its radical transparency ideals coincided with their traditional standards of newsworthiness.
So hang on, I want to interrupt this because sometimes when you get to reading, people get lost, especially if you're just joining us. What they're trying to say is that this didn't have to do with, the indictment doesn't have to do with the 2016 leak on Hillary, but rather this previous thing that had already happened. But I want to remind you guys of something. While the Rolling Stone is coming out with the stance of, if Julian Assange becomes, can be tried for this, what's it going to do to journalists in general? And while I agree with that, I would ask the Rolling Stone to maybe man up a little bit and say, you know what else is really bad about a possible prosecution of leakers is when the Clintons or the Obama administration murder the leaker, Seth Rich. I'm sorry. What's going to happen to Julian Assange is really bad. What could possibly happen to future journalists, bad. What is far more nefarious that something like the Rolling Stone doesn't want to touch because they probably support the Clintons is the murder of Seth Rich. And you can't talk about one without the other. And so I think that they're a little bit
disingenuous.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring that up to just kind of keep your ears to the ground when we're talking about Julian Assange. We don't know what's going to happen. This is, but he's living really horribly in the Ecuadorian embassy.
Well, and imagine living every day not knowing what's going to happen to you, what your future holds.
Somebody just tell me, what do you have against me? Somebody just tell me.
Right.
This is kind of an odd story I wanted to bring to you guys. Fear and faith. This missionary, American missionary, was killed this week by a remote ocean tribe. Really weird. Inside his last days, this is a picture in October 2018. American adventurer John Allen Chow Wright stands for a photograph with founder of Ubuntu Football Academy, Casey Prince, 39 in Cape Town, South Africa, days before he left for in a remote Indian island of North Sentinel Island, where he was killed. Chow, who kayaked to the remote island populated by a tribe known for shooting at outsiders with bows and arrows, has been killed, police said Wednesday, November 21st. Officials say they are working with anthropologists to recover the body. Now, technically, the world has supposedly tried to leave this tribe untouched, like some sort of like random like wild native thing.
Okay.
So they don't talk to them. They don't have communication with them. They just try to leave them untouched. It's kind of odd to me, but
well, if they're going to murder and shoot arrows at anybody that tries to come at them, maybe that's why they're leaving them untouched.
The night before John Chow returned for the last time to India's remote North Sentinel Island, he struggled with a sense of fear that his death might be imminent. He says, "I'm scared," he wrote. This 26-year-old American from Washington State who had traveled to the island on a clandestine mission to convert its inhabitants to Christianity, watching the sunset, and it's beautiful, crying a bit, wondering if it would be the last sunset I see. His initial contacts with the Sentinelese, a tiny tribe of hunter-gatherers who reject contact with the outside world, had not gone well. One teenager shot an arrow at him, which pierced his waterproof Bible. Yet Chow decided to return to the island and try again, galvanized by the feeling that he was God's instrument. "Lord, is this island Satan's last stronghold, where none have heard or even had the chance to hear your name?" he wrote in the diary of his last days, provided to the Washington Post by his mother. He left 13 pages, written in pen and pencil, with the fisherman who had transported him to the island. The morning after Chow's final trip to the island shores, the fisherman saw his body being dragged and buried in the sand. Police in the city of Port Blair, the capital of India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands, this week sent a helicopter and a team of officers by boat to assess whether it's possible to recover the body. U.S. diplomats are also in Port Blair to lend assistance. Chow's diary reveals a portrait of a young man obsessed with the idea of bringing Christianity to these people, who number in the dozens and have lived largely without contact from the outside world for centuries, protected from visitors by Indian law. It also shows that Chow knew his mission was actually illegal. You're not allowed to go to this island.
Right.
He wrote of maneuvering to avoid the Indian authorities who patrol the waters. "God himself was hiding us from the Coast Guard and many patrols," he said. He had told no one about his plan to hire local fishermen to take him to the tribal area because he did not want to put others and friends at risk. Chow's fateful expedition has caused widespread outrage in the Hindu-majority India, where Christian evangelicals are often viewed with anger or suspicion. Critics say his brazen violation of Indian law was selfish and put the fragile tribe at risk, potentially exposing them to modern disease they have no immunity for. An avid traveler who graduated from Oral Roberts University, Chow had visited the Andaman and Nicobar Islands 4 times before and was awed by the area's natural beauty and isolation. So I wanted to bring this to you. He says, "I think I could be more useful alive, but to you, God, I give all of the glory of whatever happens," he wrote. He asked God to forgive any of the people on the island who would try to kill me, especially if they succeed.
What a brave man. That's heartbreaking.
I also read about previous missionary in the 1800s who went to the island.
Same island.
Who, yeah, and they actually, like, so they're not really untouched. They were like colonizers.
Right.
And they treated them badly. And so that might be why they're afraid of outsiders. Okay. And he sexualized the children, and like there was molestation. I know, it was horrible thing that I read today.
Maia says it sounds like the movie End of the Spear based on the Jim Elliott story.
Yeah, this sounds exactly like that. So we'll see if the Lord was using him. I'm never going to tell anybody if God's telling you to do something.
Yeah.
Because his heart seemed to be in the right place. I don't really have a takeaway from this right now, except for to just tell you the story. This Christian missionary died.
To pray for his family.
Yeah. He wanted to bring the gospel to these people. And I do think that it is a little bit elitist to on the part of, I don't know, the country of India, to say no visitors can go to this island, no one can touch these people, like there's some sort of anthropological experiment. Even the Amish, you can visit where they live, right? You know what I mean? You can drive past their homes. We live on the same globe, and we're not this, you know, to say you can't, I'm sorry, we have civilization now, right? And if people show up and they make contact, then they make contact. And if they break laws that whatever country the islands are part of, and you break a part of that law. But to say that nobody can go there because anthropologically they want to keep them as hunter-gatherers is a little bit...
It's like a state park or something. I mean... I know. You can't do that. I mean, seriously, you cannot do that. Your fellow
human beings in the dark...
From progressing.
And when you talked about the Elliots there, they established a mission there. They became Christians, and it's a beautiful, wonderful thing there. So we'll see. I just wanted to share this with you.
So I'm getting a lot of comments in the chat about you guys not getting notifications. That doesn't surprise me, because earlier when Leah went live this afternoon, I don't think anybody got a notification for that. It was actually a great video. I want you guys to go back and check it out about why you should buy silver now. I'm not going to explain it. You can just go watch the video. I did a video this morning as well that I uploaded, kind of a new perspective on being thankful. But I know that you guys aren't getting notifications. I kind of figure it's a conspiracy, and I think that that's the truth. YouTube is still giving me the runaround, saying that they're working on it. With
the notifications is a whole nother thing.
It is, but I think it's kind of connected. But I think I'm going to re-up. I'm going to say, listen, now we're having issues. Our viewers aren't getting notified. And I think sometimes if you ruffle some feathers,
I think so.
You get results. You did with Twitter.
I did with Twitter, and now I'm not as shadow banded as I was before. So that's kind of cool.
Right. And Adeline keeps freaking out that we're not live on Resistance Chicks channel. We only stream to Facebook, Resistance Chicks, and YouTube Mass Faith 3.
The reason we do that is
upload the video after
the reason we do that is because if for some reason we get a copyright takedown, then we won't be able to go live for 90 days. And that's what happened on Mass Faith 3. Right. That's why we were going live on Resistance Chicks. Right. All right, so we have this migrant caravan, which they said would never go to the border.
It's not coming. It's so far away. It's months away.
Tijuana, Mexico, is they're
declaring
pretty upset.
A crisis.
We're pretty upset.
We're having a crisis down here. You're taking yourself outside, really?
On the U.S. southern border tonight, Homeland Security officials say the caravan of Central American migrants, consisting of nearly all single adult or teen males, and that at least 500 criminals have been identified among their ranks. There are now about 6,000 migrants seeking asylum in Tijuana, Mexico, that is, from the United States, with thousands more expected to arrive behind them over the coming days. But as correspondent William Lajeunesse now reports, they aren't receiving a warm welcome at all from the locals.
Well, Lou, as you know, illegal immigration is not new to Mexico. Generations of Central Americans have used this country as a stepping stone into the United States. But this caravan, how they cross, the numbers, seem to have awakened a silent, now vocal minority against them. Tension in Tijuana.
We are here because our government has not taken control of these, what we call invasions.
Shouting, "Hondurans go home" and "Viva Mexico," riot police Sunday stopped hundreds of Mexicans trying to storm the migrant shelter.
You see people, within the migrant caravan smoking weed, drinking, throwing rocks at the cops, causing chaos.
These Mexicans oppose illegal immigration and blame officials for allowing in thousands without papers. They fear crime, a loss of jobs, depressed wages, in a country where 40% already live in poverty.
I'm not really in favor of them coming the way they did. You know, to me, it feels like they invaded.
Nearby, a counter-protest. Supporters say Mexico should welcome and protect immigrants.
It's important that we consider that our Mexican brothers are also in the same situation.
The shelter Sunday remained on lockdown till protesters went home.
We are here for work, to have a better life, and no trouble, not troublemakers,
More than 6,000 caravan migrants arrived in Tijuana, their shelter looking now like a refugee camp, as many realize they cannot easily cross the border, and any asylum interview is at least 5 weeks away.
I tell them it's better for you to get a job and start working right, and then get out of your head trying to cross the border.
This morning, for the first time, the U.S. shut down the San Ysidro port of entry. Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen saying in a tweet, CBP believed a, quote, large number of caravan migrants plan to rush the border to gain illegal access to the U.S. So by shutting down lanes and slowing traffic and increasing wait times, President Trump is sending a message to Mexico City that if you fail to stop these caravans on your southern border, you face consequences on the northern one. And Lou, he's doing it in a language that everyone understands. Time is money. Lou?
It's kind of a crazy thing because the mayor of Tijuana has literally declared a humanitarian crisis, and I try to put it into perspective. So we live in a town, Milford, Miami Township, and I'm trying to think of 5,000 people randomly just setting up camp.
Right.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Like where? You know what I'm saying? Like 5,000 people. What if they did in the size, like, you know, in our area? Imagine it. Like, picture it. Like, 5,000 people just randomly, where are they going to poop? Where are they going to pee? Where are they going to eat? Where's the water? What are they going to do? Where they probably don't have... So, like, somebody has to be funding them.
Yeah.
5 weeks away for any asylum.
It's not like they're... I mean, they're really... I don't think there are enough places for people to even set up camp around here.
Yeah, he says...
you'd have to be on private property. You'd have to be camping on on people's private property.
Or public property, but
no, I mean like private, like their homes and stuff to get that kind of land to be camping out.
They have categorically omitted and not complied with their legal obligations, he says. So we're now asking them and international humanitarian groups to bring in and carry out humanitarian assistance. So, you know, for years people have been crossing the borders there. But having, you know, thousands and thousands at a time, I don't know if I haven't been on Twitter a whole lot, so let's see if I can find this tweet. There's, Laura Loomer's been taken off Twitter, by the way. It's absolutely insane. Here she is. This is a Mexican woman who says that she is a Trump supporter and she wants to make Mexico great again. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this on YouTube, and I want you to bring it up. Because it's going to be easier for them to read, because you have to read the subtitles. Yeah. So, is that good? Is this, we'll play on this one?
It will.
All right. So, yeah. She says, I am Mexican. I support Donald Trump for my whole life. I've supported Donald Trump. I've known him for 10 years, and I love that he is a nationalist, that he fights for his country. So... You've got a lot of people in Tijuana. There was another guy with a blowhorn saying the same kind of thing. Like, hey, let's make Mexico great again. And they love Donald Trump. And what Donald Trump is saying is right. And I think it's fantastic to kind of get...
It's just got... Well, I want to make sure I have the volume right.
Yeah. So go ahead and play it for them and we can get those one.
En Tijuana, yo no estoy de acuerdo con que estén aquí en la calle. Yo creo que ahorita que ya están aquí, la mejor solución es tenerlos en albergues, tenerlos a lo mejor en algún... Yo no estoy de acuerdo que estén en un parque. ¿Cómo van a dormir en la calle? O sea, esa gente tiene casa, tiene familia en sus países. Yo preferiría que estuvieran en sus países a que estén aquí durmiendo en la calle, porque
que los regresen, que los deporten,
que les paguen, así como les pagaron para venir, que los ayuden a regresar a su país, si es que no les pueden dar asilo legal en el otro país. Eso es todo. Dime.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Se te ha identificado mucho en las redes sociales como impulsora de Donald Trump, de sus
No,
ideas.
como impulsora de México. A mí no me quieran venir a voltear las cosas. Yo apoyo a mi país, yo vivo en México, llevo 10 años viviendo aquí en México.
Paloma por Trump, ¿no?
Claro, ¿qué tiene de malo? Soy mexicana y apoyo a Trump. Soy mexicana, apoyo a Trump, llevo toda la vida apoyando a Trump. Hace 10 años lo conocí, me encanta que sea nacionalista, me encanta que luche por su país, me encanta que luche por su gente, y eso es lo que nosotros como mexicanos deberíamos de hacer aquí en México. Y gracias por darme toda la atención que me han dado medios, porque es el mensaje que he querido mandar desde hace muchos años. Nosotros como mexicanos debemos de luchar por nuestro país, de la misma forma que Donald Trump lucha por su gente y por su país y por sus fronteras.
Cuando de repente ha generalizado sus expresiones, también está...
No estoy de acuerdo. Acuérdate que él no es político, a veces no se expresa de la manera correcta, pero yo no creo que él de verdad crea que todos los mexicanos somos delincuentes. No somos violadores, delincuentes, asesinos. Él sabe que México tiene gente como ustedes, como yo, que luchamos por nuestro país. Por eso estamos aquí. Si yo creyera de verdad que la gente de México es mala, yo no estaría aquí. Tengo ciudadanía americana y estaría allá.
Wow.
So this was Donald Trump on November 18th.
All kinds of stuff here. Wait a minute.
He said, the mayor of Tijuana, Mexico, just stated that the city is ill-prepared to handle this many migrants. The backlog could last 6 months. Likewise, the U.S. is ill-prepared for this invasion, and we will not stand for it. They are causing crime and big problems in Mexico. Go home. This is not the same. Somebody had tweeted out, I don't know, some mainstream media, CNN maybe, said that the Pilgrims were the first migrant refugees. There's a lot of differences between the Pilgrims and the migrants. I don't really have all day to go over those, but number one,
they were fleeing for religious persecution. We have said on our show countless times that we believe that you should be taking in the minorities that are in countries that are being persecuted for their religion.
But see, the liberals can't have it both ways. They can't say that, the Pilgrims came over here and now it's some sort of like cultural appropriation. They shouldn't have been over here.
Right.
Everybody should have stayed in Europe, things like that. And but then they say, but look, it's like Jesus. Jesus was, a refugee. No, he wasn't. They were coming to be a part of a census and going back home. So
I have news for you people on this whole cultural appropriation
He actually
thing.
did flee to Egypt, though, because they did want to kill the babies.
From the beginning of time. Literally from the beginning of time. Cultures have moved. They've been nomadic. Mm-hmm. They have traveled. They have established where they are at, where they felt led to go. Some have done so via conquering. Okay, we see that in the Bible, in fact, actually. And so I'm going to say this. Maybe just leave the history and the judging of that sort of thing to God. Because I think looking at what happened with the Pilgrims, and even with the Pilgrims you have to throw out. Let's say you want to take into consideration the people that kicked the natives off their land or something, which the Pilgrims did not do, by the way. Let's say you even want to take that. That's an atrocity that is separate from most people that came over to America. All right, it's not like the Hitler trying to annihilate the Jews or whatever. They didn't actually move in there, but you know what I'm saying. It's not the same thing. Yes, it's an atrocity that anyone would kick the natives off their land. We have the Trail of Tears. These are horrible things that happened, but they don't represent every person that came to America. The natives didn't even believe that they owned the land. They moved around. They didn't say, hey, I own this. You can't come take my land. That's not how it went. So people that try to spin that argument don't really know history very well.
All right, speaking of history and knowing history, this is something beautiful. This is North Korea and South Korea at the demilitarized zone here talking.
Amazing.
They've got their guns, but they're just talking, smiling, hanging out. And it's, I don't know,
I'm going to take a guess. This is South Korea. This is North Korea.
How did you guess?
The emaciated cheeks and high cheekbones. Really, that was how I guessed.
Yeah, so there we go.
That's demarcation history. That is history right there. That's amazing.
Thank you, Donald Trump, for that. Thank you, Donald Trump, for that.
Did he tweet out about that? You can thank me for that. He's really good at that.
He did about the gas prices.
He did. You can thank me for the low gas prices. negotiated that deal. Had to sell my right arm for that.
Yeah, let's check out, just randomly, let's go see what our, I call him Uncle Trump. Donald Trump has been up to lately. It's so much. I can't even, his judge, he's in a like a Twitter battle with, I don't know if you can call it Twitter battle with the Supreme Court Justice. He's tweeting out a lot here. Do you want to see his Thanksgiving remarks?
Yeah.
On behalf of Melania, myself, and the entire Trump family, I want to wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving. From the very beginning of our nation, Americans have come together to remember our blessings and give thanks to God. This Thanksgiving, we remember more than 200,000 brave Americans who are currently serving overseas. We thank God for every patriot who serves our nation in uniform. We also pause to pray for all of those who have suffered loss this year, especially survivors and families of the innocent Americans who were victims of the horrific and hateful acts of violence. And we pray for everyone affected by catastrophic storms and devastating wildfires that have ravaged communities in California. Every American heart is with those impacted by these terrible tragedies. We thank every firefighter, first responder, and law enforcement officer who raced into danger to save so many lives. These are brave people. These are great people. These are special people. Our spirits are lifted as we witness Americans across the country rescue those who are in danger, support those who are in need, and come together to rebuild homes and restore hope. This Thanksgiving, we express our profound gratitude to the family and friends who enrich our lives, to the neighbors who strengthen our communities, and to our fellow citizens who make this glorious nation into a beautiful home. We are all thankful for the incredible prosperity booming all across our land. We thank God for the blessing of being American, the joy of spending time with loved ones, and the sacrifices made by the heroes who keep America safe, strong, and free. Thank you, God bless you, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. That's Donald Trump.
I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
So, Donald Trump had issued an executive order about getting asylum, saying that you couldn't get asylum once you've crossed over illegally. That has been stopped by what Donald Trump calls an Obama judge. So then Chief Justice Roberts comes out. Remember he voted for Obamacare? Boo. And says there are no Obama judges. There's no Obama judges.
No. He said there's no Obama judges. There are no Bush judges. And I just said, you know what? That's true. There's just, they're really coming and saying there's just Trump judges. Because Obama and Bush were of the same, cut from the same cloth. Just kind of different sides of the debate team. Okay, same belief system. But I did say if there really aren't any Obama judges or Bush judges or even Trump judges, then why did they try so hard to stop Gorsuch, how do you say Gorsuch,
and especially
and Kavanaugh? I mean, seriously, why would they have tried so hard if they believe that all judges are just impartial? That's absurd.
The last few days, we've seen President Trump escalate his tirade against judicial bias in America's higher courts following his initial comments responding to yet another liberal California judge earlier this week that blocked one of Trump's policies, this time a new asylum rule that would have required applicants to arrive at a designated port of entry. A lot to ask, I know. The understandably frustrated president lashed out at liberal courts in general. I think it's a disgrace when every case gets filed in the Ninth Circuit, he said. That's not law. That's not what this country stands for. Every case that gets filed in the Ninth Circuit, we get beaten, and then we end up having to go to the Supreme Court, like the travel ban, and we won. Prompting a response from Chief Justice Roberts, we do not have Obama judges or Trump judges, Bush judges or Clinton judges. What we have is an extraordinary group of dedicated judges doing their level best to do equal rights to those appearing before him. That independent judiciary is something we should all be thankful for.
Sorry, Jasper.
Trump responds, sorry, Chief Justice John Roberts, but you do indeed have Obama judges. and they have a much different point of view than the people who are charged with the safety of our country. It would be great if the Ninth Circuit was indeed an independent judiciary, but if it is, why are there so many opposing views on border and safety cases filed there, and why are a vast number of those cases overturned? Please study the numbers. They are shocking. We need protection and security. These rulings are making our country unsafe, very dangerous, and unwise. Justice Roberts can say what he wants, but the Ninth Circuit is a complete and total disaster. It is out of control, has a horrible reputation, is overturned more than any circuit in the country 79% of the time. Probably the Supreme Court does not agree with you. And is used to getting... an almost guaranteed result, judges must not legislate security and safety at the border or anywhere else. They know nothing about it and are making our country unsafe. Our great law enforcement professionals must be allowed to do their job. If not, there will be only bedlam, chaos, injury, and death. We want the Constitution as written.
Okay, can I just pause one more time? And I'm going to do this like a lot. Our president tweets. Like, he writes his own tweets.
Yeah.
Historically speaking, presidents don't say a word or put out any kind of statement if it's like written by a speechwriter.
Unless it's like the Thanksgiving proclamation, which is nice but incredibly boring.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, this is legit. You are hearing his thoughts. He's sitting on Air Force One or wherever he is at, and he is coming up with these things himself. It's fantastic.
But as the law professor Scott Douglas Gerber writes for the Daily Caller, Chief Justice John Roberts' rebuke of President Trump for criticizing a federal judge who issued a temporary restraining order blocking the administration from barring migrants who enter the United States from seeking asylum isn't the first time that Roberts has tried to suggest that judges aren't political. The most famous prior occasion was when Roberts told the Senate Judiciary Committee during his 2005 confirmation, "Judges are like umpires whose job is to call balls and strikes and not to pitch or bat." He also said that umpires don't make the rules. No serious student of modern judiciary took Roberts' 2005 comments seriously. They shouldn't take his most recent attempt at myth-making seriously either. After all, if there wasn't a difference between Obama judges and federal judges appointed by Republican presidents, President Trump's opponents wouldn't be moving heaven and earth to try to stop him from appointing conservatives to the federal courts.
Amazing.
Surely, the Chief Justice can't already have forgotten the trials to which Brett Kavanaugh was subjected. Of course, Roberts was appointed by a Republican president, but that president, George W. Bush, like Roberts himself, was an establishment conservative, and establishment conservatives resent President Trump's 2016 election victory almost as much as the Democrats. Perhaps that helps explain the Chief Justice's seemingly unprecedented attack on the president. Two additional points are worth noting. First, that President Trump isn't the only president or future president who has criticized a federal judge for making a political decision. Second, Chief Justice Roberts himself wrote one of the most political opinions in Supreme Court history. The most significant example of a president or future president criticizing a ruling issued by a federal court is almost certainly Abraham Lincoln's response to the 1857 decision in which the Supreme Court ruled that African Americans could not be citizens of the United States. Lincoln publicly condemned that decision. With respect to Roberts himself, in 2012, the Chief Justice joined with 4 liberals on the court to uphold Obamacare. And he invented, out of the whole cloth, a new definition of taxation that totally went against long-standing precedent to do so. As both the law's opponents and the court's dissenters pointed out, the so-called individual mandate that required most Americans to have a basic level of health insurance coverage or pay a fine was labeled a penalty and not a tax in the statute. It was designed to encourage people to buy health insurance, not to raise revenue. And President Obama himself had rejected claims that the law was a tax when being considered by Congress. But the Chief Justice did what he did for a political reason. He made the calculation that he did not want a conservative Supreme Court being seen as overturned, presumably on political grounds. The signature legislation of the Obama administration. In short, all President Trump did was state the obvious. It matters who the judges are.
Exactly.
So, there you go. There you have it. It does matter. All right. So, classic Trump. Brutal and extended cold blast will shatter all records. Northeast, I guess it was the coldest Thanksgiving Day parade, Macy's thing on record.
So he ends with, so whatever happened to global warming?
Yeah, that's fun. That's That's fun.
I love that he just randomly tweets out, America first, make America great again.
He
gotta
said,
keep reminding people of
there
that.
are a lot of criminals in the caravan. We will stop them, catch and detain. Judicial activism by people who know nothing about security and the safety of our citizens is putting our country in great danger. Not good. You know that's Trump when he says, not good. You can't win with the fake news media. A big story today is that because I have pushed so hard and gotten gasoline prices so low, more people are driving and I have caused traffic jams throughout the great nation. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
Oh my God,
Sorry, everyone,
Maia.
which is absolutely hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I don't know how deep we want to get into this
What is going on
right
with the camera?
now.
Who's down there?
But
Jasper.
speaking about gas prices,
Keep it moving.
there's this guy, his name is Khashoggi. Rhymes with pierogi. Ba-dum-ching.
We never eat pierogies.
Sometimes.
Anymore.
They're like
we haven't had them in a long time.
pastries filled with like potatoes. They're called pierogies.
Don't you put meat in them sometimes?
Sometimes. So I don't know if I'm with Donald Trump. It's actually my impression of the impression, because that isn't exactly what Donald Trump sounds like, but when people do
it's the Alec Baldwin version.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, Trump actually is cooler than my impression for sure. I'm going to try to give you the short of this because I feel like it's important, but I really don't want to talk about it because it makes my head hurt. Not hurt. We say it so much. Petro
Say it again.
dollar.
Sam.
Donald Trump was able to rant against Saudi Arabia before he became president.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he became president, somebody sat down and showed him the numbers and said, Mr. President, I need you to make good with Saudi Arabia.
Because if you don't,
the entire economy is going to collapse. And so, how many of you remember the above $4 a gallon gas under Obama? Hello. Have you seen it under Trump? It's been hovering. I mean, didn't we get under 2?
I'm not sure if we hit. Yeah, I think we did actually.
I have to look at historic gas prices. But my point is that Trump has been trying to make nice with Saudi Arabia. He's even like put pressure on them to increase outputs to make the prices go down. He's literally controlling the gas prices by putting pressure on Saudi Arabia. If something goes wrong with Saudi Arabia, those gas prices could go up 5, 6. We're looking, I don't know. There's no end.
There
to
really
how
is.
high.
All you have to do is look at Europe.
And then, yeah, but it'll be even worse than that. If we literally like go to like war with Saudi Arabia over this guy, he was not an American. He's a journalist who worked in America.
Yeah.
He wasn't actually a resident here.
Mm.
He was tortured, brutally tortured, on the bequest of Saudi Arabia. We know that Saudi Arabia is bad. I'm willing to go through withdrawal. We're a drug addict. We are a Saudi Arabian. They're like the pimp. I don't know what you call it, but they're the drug dealers. And so I'm willing to go through withdrawal. I will, because what Saudi Arabia does to its citizens, women can't drive, they're second-class citizens.
Yeah.
They literally behead people with a sword for their punishments. Like I'm
looking at our kombucha, it looks like a Saudi Arabian.
That is funny. Yeah.
We have a towel on it.
There's no Christians allowed. There's no Christianity. There's no churches in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Why are we friends with them?
Now, when you say withdrawal, just in case anybody is busy having fun in the chat and not paying attention, she means we're willing to drive a lot less. As Americans, we are so dependent. And here's the unfortunate part about that. There are some people that couldn't. I mean, we have friends that have to commute 45 minutes, an hour to their job.
It would put everything at a standstill, whether, everything, all prices would go up because everything we have from your bananas to your iPhone to whatever, it all takes gasoline to get there. So gasoline is what fuels our entire economy. If that gasoline price goes up, so Donald Trump says, it's a mean and nasty world out there, the Middle East in particular. Sorry,
this sounds like Bernie. Maia even said it.
This is a long and historic commitment. Let's hope Bernie never becomes president, so I have to impersonate him.
That's never going to happen.
This is a long and historic commitment, and one that is absolutely vital to America's national security. Secretary Pompeo and I agree 100%. In addition, many billions of dollars of purchases made in the U.S., big jobs, and oil. That's just the thing. They're using our weapons to massacre people in Yemen right now.
Yemen.
it's not fun. It's not awesome.
No.
But I understand why Trump is doing it. I mean, I think he sees this as a lesser of two evils, and behind closed doors, you know, if Obama was president, he would be ripping Obama to shreds over this. I know he would. Let's see.
Hang on. Hello, Michelle and Leah. First time here. I know this will cause drama. Guys, don't trip on it anyway. Hello, all. I don't know how, unless you're going to cause drama. Either way, we welcome you here, Brian.
Let's see. If there's anything. Here's this is the new no climbers anymore under this administration. This is the ocean area fence. So that's what our president has been up to on Twitter lately. So speaking of Saudi Arabia, this actually, the level of hypocrisy of the mainstream media right now, if there was a chart, it's off the chart. It hit the moon. Okay, so last week it was an itch. Today it's eye boogers. Yeah. Okay, so let me just tell you something. Well, there was also my, like, I'm centering myself, because if I don't, I won't be able to think and the words won't come out right. I can think, but I'll think too quickly and the words won't come out. When the mainstream media is, I can't put my finger on why they're doing it. When the mainstream media is attacking Saudi Arabia and their human rights and what they're teaching their kids, and I'm going to share this article, so I have like this sneaking, like, what the heck? What the heck? The entire Twitter mainstream media is like suddenly anti-Saudi Arabia. Yeah. And calling out Islamic extremism. So I'm like, seriously, so do we get to take them off of Twitter now? Yeah. Because this is the same stuff that we say. That's hate speech. That we get censored for. That makes me uncomfortable. So we get demonetized. If I make a video that says Saudi school textbook teach violence, anti-Semitism, I won't be able to monetize that. Right. Okay, that might actually be borderline hate speech. Yes. Actually, they will call it hate speech. I feel it. So, but because YouTube, I am going to read a CBS article. Thank you that the people that have allowed us speaking to say what we have always been saying. Here we go. The U.S. cannot look the other way while Saudi Arabia features anti-Semitic hate speech year after year. Textbooks for high school students in Saudi Arabia promote hatred against Jews, Christians, women, homosexual men, and other Muslim sects, despite repeated promises to return the country to a more moderate form of Islam. But they're just quoting the Quran! No, I can't. I just told you that I'm trying. You can't tell me to bring it down when I'm already, like, literally trying to hold myself back. I have a raging form of horse chariots in the back of my head, and I'm really trying to be quiet. Let it go. The Anti-Defamation League highlighted some textbooks that include anti-Semitic stereotypes. Now, this same Anti-Defamation League would call me out in a second for reading this same stinking article. I wonder why CBS... I wonder what the motive is. Are you going to get to that? Because this guy, Pierogi was killed. And everybody is attacking Trump so much that I believe they're shooting themselves in their own foot. Yeah. Okay, because Trump is trying to keep us level, and he's not putting sanctions and going hard against Saudi Arabia because he doesn't want our economy to collapse. Yeah. Now, people like Rand Paul and you and me are like, hey, good timing. I'm ready. We're ready. But the mainstream media, I don't think they recognize that they're literally handing us the freedom of speech back a little bit on this one. Right? So I'm going to take it, baby. Take it. I'm glad that if Trump has to play this game, because if Trump went hard against Saudi Arabia, they'd probably go hard against him. Yes. Because they are anti-Trump no matter what he says or what he does. So maybe he's playing. Maybe this is a chess game. Maybe this is one of his moves. It's 4D chess because if he can pit the mainstream media against Saudi Arabia, which
pitting the mainstream media against Saudi Arabia pits the American people against Saudi Arabia, which is the point.
Right.
We are going to see a severing, I think, of the tie from the American dollar to the petrodollar. It's one and the same. And then that would abolish the Federal Reserve.
We're this close.
It's about to happen, guys.
If Trump did go after Saudi Arabia, what they would do, the mainstream media all they want you to do is make it look like you're doing something.
Yeah.
They don't actually want to sever the relationship with Saudi Arabia. They go up, they pull back. They go up, they pull back.
Right.
But when Trump does something, he does it.
Right.
So if he did it, they don't want him to do it because then we all are at $8 a gallon gas.
Yes.
All right. So, among the goals of Zionism is a global Jewish government to control the entire world, one excerpt says. Another example reads, the hour will not come until Muslims fight the Jews, so that the Muslims kill them, until the Jew hides behind rock and tree, so the tree says, O Muslim, O servant of God, this Jew is behind me, so kill him. Dude, I really believe that that's Quran. If it's not the Quran, it's a hadith. This is, you hear it because I hear quoting it all the time. This is the Quran. So seriously, if that is Quran, that is an Islamic teaching. They didn't make this up. This is not Saudi Arabia's own form
exactly,
of
and that's
Islam.
what I was actually just sitting here thinking.
This is Islam.
They're acting as if it is just Saudi Arabia.
Right. It's same. Iranian has the same teaching.
Yeah.
Qatar has the same teaching. Pakistan. All Muslims have this same teaching.
Yeah. A third passage suggests that feeding
Islam.
women is permitted when necessary.
That's in the Quran.
Ain't I been saying it, Ernie? Ain't I been saying it?
It's in the Quran. And so we say it, and they take our videos down and cause us to shut. CBS article, YouTube, you don't take my video down. Don't take my video down. You're going to monetize the heck out of this thing.
In Texas, her gas is $1.91 to $2.19 wherever, depending on where she's at.
Thanks, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is the birthplace of Islam and for decades has exported a strict Wahhabism form of Sunni Islam that views Shiite Muslims as heretics. Now, here's the thing. When it says a strict interpretation, it just means they read the Quran and they apply it.
Amazing.
Read the Bible and apply it, and you love your neighbor as yourself. And somebody hits you on
Christian.
Somebody hits you on one cheek, and you give them the other cheek. Now, I can give you what God really means, but if that's your strict interpretation of Christianity, well, probably a good thing. Intolerance in the kingdom came under particular scrutiny after the September 11, 2001 attacks, when it emerged that 15 out of 19 of the hijackers were Saudi Arabian. Although, what country did we go into? Afghanistan and Iraq. But 15 out of 19, did we ever go into Saudi Arabia?
You know what? We didn't.
Why didn't we go into Saudi Arabia, you think?
They own us.
So we had to have a war on terror on everyone who was not part of the terror attack. Oh. That's Bush for ya. Bush, way to go.
Hillary voted for that.
And you know why? Because Saddam Hussein was a really wicked tyrant, but he was trying to get back onto a gold standard and get off of the petrodollar. And so they used this as a way to, as Bush's, everybody said that Bush wanted to finish his dad's war. And he used this as an excuse to do so. Senior clergy subsequently denounced militant Islamic groups like Al-Qaeda or the Islamic State, and the government has fired many religious leaders. However, hardline views, meaning they read the Quran and apply it, they endure in some books taught in high schools. The Quran is taught in every Islamic high school, whoever wrote this article. I feel like it's a woman. I don't know.
It's probably a man.
While the report notes some improvements, much of the incitement evident in today's textbooks is still alarmingly similar to what was included in the kingdom's curriculum around the time of the 9/11 attacks.
And so many other Islamic nations.
Can I just take a moment to say this is CBS? The ADLC.
I think this is an error. I think somebody put this in here.
CEO Jonathan Greenblatt called on U.S. officials to hold Saudi Arabia to a higher standard. You mean you don't want them to apply the Quran? You mean you're a little Islamic cautious? We have a saying around here. I am not Islamophobic. I'm Islamic cautious. You know why, baby? Because their Quran says The hour will not come until Muslims fight the Jews, so that the Muslims kill them, until the Jew hides behind rock and tree, so the rock or tree says, "O Muslim, O servant of God, this Jew is behind me, so kill him." And that beating women is permissible under the law. Okay, I'm a little Islamic conscious.
I better go turn it off.
It's on 275, but it's okay. Go ahead and turn it off. Heating up. Kansas's second Thanksgiving. How many of you had a second Thanksgiving today? Raise your hands. Cranberry baby. The U.S. cannot look the other way while Saudi Arabia features anti-Semitic hate speech year after year in the educational material it gives to its children. Hi, Jasper.
Leah's gonna get really mad at me, but Robert, this honey baked ham that you sent.
Actually, I won't. But you know why? Because
so good.
I was really hungry and I ate some cold before we went
Did
on
you really?
air. Yeah, I was. Yeah. So
You're just reading.
Satiated. The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, has also called for greater scrutiny of the kingdom's textbooks by the American government. Many of the experts highlighted by the Anti-Defamation League are based on hadiths, or accounts of the sayings, actions, or habits of the Prophet Muhammad that are used by preachers and jurists as opposed to the Quran. So the Quran is really this good, awesome book filled with like peace. It's really the hadiths.
I don't know what you said earlier, but Maia says, Leah, that's profiling. We can't assume someone's gender.
Oh, yeah, they're writing. Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the country's de facto ruler, have been embraced by President Trump. And Trump visited, blah, blah, blah. So now, yeah, it was a female and it was a chick.
No, you win.
Okay, so on May 29th, U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Stan Brownback, called on Saudi Arabia for not recognizing the right of non-Muslims to practice their religion in public, stating that imprisons, lashes, and fines individuals for apostasy, blasphemy, and insulting the state's interpretation of Islam. Remember Asa Bibi, who still has not... They're going
received asylum.
They're going door to door in Pakistan trying to find her.
No way.
To kill her.
No way.
But you know what?
Is the government?
No, all Pakistanis. The people. And I'm Pakistani phobic. Or no, I'm Pakistani cautious. And if I was in Pakistan, you better believe I'm Pakistani phobic.
I'm not going to Pakistan.
No, because they're literally going door to door to Christians' houses trying to find Asa Bibi to kill her.
Right.
If I'm not afraid of that, then I'm insane.
To remind you, they wanted to put her to death because she grabbed some water and took it to... and she's a Christian in Pakistan, took it to some Muslims in Pakistan, and she had taken a drink from it first while they were out working. And because she is a Christian, and
it was blasphemous.
It was blasphemous, and they were literally going to kill her. And now they decided not to kill her, but now the people want to kill her.
Can I just say one more time that Pakistanis are the #1 grooming gang people in the UK? But that's a fact, and you know what? If I have to spend the rest of my life like censored and they kick me off of YouTube because I said there's something wrong with the teaching of people in Pakistan who causes them to want to kill a Christian for drinking water, you know what I'm saying? Like there's something mental in your head.
I agree with that.
You know, you might be like, ooh, germs. Right? Like, ooh,
that
germs.
would be my that was my first thought.
But I wouldn't say,
actually.
ooh, germs. You know what?
Death.
I want you died. I want you dead. I want you dead. I want you died.
I want you died.
I want you to die. Like, seriously, how is it hate speech for me to say that that this whole country, obviously they're saying it. It's our whole country. Aren't they racially profiling themselves?
Yes.
So this is me again holding back.
Hold back.
Because
let it go.
Sometimes I don't have words. So I just like want to like a stream of speaking in tongues or something that's not gonna work. All right, random news. I think like a moving of the. This is me because like a lot of this is like messing with my like my.
Hang on, pause. You know you don't believe in that stuff, but seriously, this afternoon Leah came. I was in the kitchen and she's like, "Listen, I don't know what is going on, but if stuff doesn't get better by the time we have to go live, we are just going to talk about the monument that you got for your birthday and sing songs because I can't even handle this stuff. The news is just so awful right now."
And it's not so much that it's so awful as that I was like such peace. I was like centered. You know, we have Thanksgiving. We're out raking. We're just enjoying the sunshine. We're enjoying God's creation. And then there are these evil, like, orcs out there trying to take over the Hobbit land.
She just Lord of the Rings
And I want to live in Hobbit land, and the deep state orcs want to take us over and, like, take over the whole world. And so I've got to put down my little, you know, Hobbit pipe, and it's just a joke, figure of speech. And they're going to go out and throw the ring into the fire. Frodo.
Oh my gosh.
We have to
for
stop
anybody
the
that's
evil
watching us that has
Siths.
not seen Lord of the Rings, this whole thing is just going right over your head.
Well, here, like, just this random thing. I mean, like, this
grab an axe, Hobbit. So what says?
This death of this Health and Human Services guy who was hired to bring down pharmaceutical prices. I can't even speak right now. And somebody made a comment that what he was working on, they raised those prices.
Oh my! Right
afterwards. I gotta tell you, people kill people for money every day. You do not watch movies. In the movies, they do this. If they do it in the movies, they do it in real life. All right, so this guy, Daniel Best, he was the best. A pharmaceutical executive from Bay Village who led the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services efforts to lower prescription drug prices. I'm going to get to this point here. It was ruled a suicide. Listen, you know what?
That's when they call the Clintons have suicided many people.
People like this don't commit suicide, you guys. They just don't. Police say Best was found unresponsive near the garage door exit of his apartment building in Washington, D.C., Navy's Yard neighborhood at 5:25 a.m. on November 1st, and was pronounced dead by the medical personnel who responded to the scene. Now, see, this is again like me, like going, okay, just breathe. The city's office of the chief medical examiner on Thursday said Best died from multiple blunt force injuries, and it ruled his death a suicide.
Wait a minute. And I shouldn't laugh. That's horrible. It's laughable that they think they can get that past anybody.
My head against the wall.
And killed myself.
Said no one ever. Like, seriously, if you're going to suicide someone, I think the gun is the best, like, way to cover it.
What about the car in the garage thing? They do that in, like, Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, but, like, this is, like, the 2 gunshot thing. Like, oh, he was found with 2 gunshots in the back of the head. It was suicide. He just, you know, like, seriously. He was suicided. Okay? So we need to just kind of reword this. It was ruled a suicided. A suicided. So someone killed him. This was ruled a murder. Multiple blunt force injuries. Like, I don't even know what this could mean, but, like, people don't just, like, bang themselves unless they're having a seizure.
Did you read the part right here? It says, in announcing his death, HHS Secretary Alex Azar said the 49-year-old former CVS Health and Pfizer Pharmaceuticals executive agreed to work at HHS, quote, out of a desire to serve the American people by making healthcare more affordable. And I want to pause right here because I want to let you guys know something. One of the largest, most unspoken, nefarious things that goes on in our country and around the world, but specifically in our country, is the pharmaceutical industry, okay? And not just pharmaceuticals, but you could say healthcare, you know, by and large, but speaking specifically about the pharmaceutical companies, they literally send lobbyists to Washington. They run our country, okay? They are the reason why Sam, what's his name, the Amish guy who was Gerard was creating these kind of Maia type healing products, was put into jail. They want to shut down anything homeopathic.
He has petitioned Donald Trump for a pardon.
Oh, I hope he gets it.
I know.
I really do. But anyway, my point is, this is so deep and so nefarious. The fact that they would knock somebody off or suicide somebody is, I mean, we see this happen all the time with the anti-vaccine doctors. They get suicided every day.
Is it Mike Adams, the health ranger?
Yeah.
So he's always tweeting out, not Mike Adams. Who's the guy that Alex Jones has on?
That's Mike Adams, health ranger.
There.
He's got the new.
He has 2 different pictures. He has 2 different pages.
Good, because one might get shut down. Very smart.
So he has he's always posting this. It's been more than 70 homeopathic doctors have been have died in recent years.
They get suicided. They are being killed. It's like because, and you know why? Because having an MD on the end of your name does give you respect, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you have an MD that comes out and says, listen, vaccines are causing autism. Vaccines are causing juvenile diabetes. And if you have them come out and say that, they have to be shut up.
If you guys are on Twitter at all, follow the Health Ranger, because the stuff that he puts out, like propolis from honeybees is powerful superfood that kills candida. Can magnesium make depression drugs obsolete? Prevent cognitive decline by eating dark chocolate. Love that one. Hot tubs offer physical and mental benefits, and we actually, Michelle and I both have seen the power of the air and the heat.
Oh my gosh, my neck went out, and our friend has a hot tub, and we made fun of her endlessly for getting it, and then she healed her shoulder by using it daily because she couldn't raise her arm up, and now she has full range of motion. And my neck went out, and I was like, fine, I'll give it a shot. Within 3 days, I was back up and running, and you had the same thing happen with your back.
Yeah, exactly. So these are alternative medicines that the pharmaceutical industry does not gain anything from. So they're not going to... Doctors go to schools that are funded by pharmaceuticals that push the pharmaceuticals. The guys come in and like with their little bag of goodies and like candy. They want you to be on their medicine, and they want you on their medicine for life.
Right.
Okay. They want lifers. They don't want to heal anyone.
I've taken my uncle to the doctor, and one medication might not be working, and I kind of see them toss things up, and they literally will say to you, well, they just brought in this new drug. We could try that out. Mm-hmm. They literally say it just like that.
Right. So this is the kind of stuff you're going to see on Mike Adams' Health Ranger page. So these are food marketing translations. These are for real. So when you see no sugar, it doesn't mean healthy. It means instead we have included a variety of sweet-tasting carcinogenic chemicals.
Yeah.
Including aspartame. So bad for you. So bad for you. And Diet Coke, it'll mess with your gut. Like, I would go to my friend's fire pit and she'd have just like Diet Coke. And like, I would drink it just because it's like there. And like, seriously, mess with my gut. I can't drink diet. I can't have aspartame.
Soda is bad for you. Diet soda is way, 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 way
There's
worse.
a reason why there's dye is in there.
Yeah, it'll kill you.
Artificial flavoring means a horrible mix of chemicals that will trick your brain into thinking you are eating something healthy. Natural flavoring is a tiny drop of lemon or something added to the chemical stuff listed in number 2. Low fat means instead of fat, we've added a chemical cocktail that is worse than fat ever was. Essential source of vitamins and minerals means we have added synthetic vitamins and minerals to hide the rest of the garbage that we are feeding you and your children.
That has been zapped out of the formerly known as food that it was.
Thank you, Health Ranger. Can pomegranate juice control cholesterol? Are you throwing away the best part of kale?
So your point is, you brought up Mike Adams because he had shared an article that had listed how many homeopathic doctors
70,
had died.
And like he tweets all the time. So I thought if I read some of them, I might get to the
Well, I think they understand.
Like
they
ginger is the monumentally superior alternative to chemotherapy.
Yeah, ginger is awesome.
All right, so these are also just things that I love, but you get the point. All right, we're gonna move on. Lots of people are dying. Well, and here's the thing. I was asked today on Facebook, and I do like to answer these things, by a progressive who came to us via Caitlin Johnston, I'm sure of it, and because I shared the article on Mr. Best here, Daniel Best, dying, and he said, well, what is your answer to the pharmaceutical companies charging too much money? Because he was going to bring down the prices. We talk about this all the time, but it's worth rehashing, and if you guys have already heard it, I'll try to make it quick. My number one solution is, of course, farming, right?
Yeah.
But I go to the vet, and there's like 4 or 5 vets within like 10 minutes of my house, and they all have to have competitive pricing. It feels like it's expensive, but it's only expensive because we're paying out of pocket.
Right.
We don't have insurance. But really, for what they're doing, it's not expensive. And if they had to do it to you for that price, like if they had to put you under and pull your teeth for $600 or $700, not so bad, right? And to pull your teeth, that's a surgery. That's like a $5,000 like canines, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, your dentist charges you more, but dentists charge less because your dentists are on like every corner too, and they charge less because most people are paying out of pocket for these things. But doctors skyrocket things. Dentists aren't throwing pharmaceuticals at you either, right? They're like toothpaste, $2 thing, you know what I mean? So like,
now if you talk to a doctor, they'll tell you the reason why doctors' rates are up is because of the high insurance they have to pay for being sued for malpractice.
Well, dentists have the same insurance for malpractice, right? But their rates are low.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be sued for like a bad cleaning.
Yeah.
You know? But if you don't know this, and I learned this, I don't know when, maybe even a year ago when I was studying this, so 2 years ago, that the government puts a cap on the number of medical students that go to colleges.
Yep.
When you do that, you artificially inflate prices and you incentivize the pharmaceutical companies to have medical schools that are to help fund students in these particular students in medical schools in particular areas, so that we all have trouble finding a general practitioner.
Yeah.
Because it's not incentivized to be one.
Right.
Why isn't it incentivized to be one? Okay.
Well, you just mentioned how Trump was going hard with Saudi Arabia to increase production to lower prices. This is basic supply and demand. If you didn't learn this in school, education failed you. And so with these doctors, we don't have enough supply to meet the demand. And so there aren't enough options out there for people. And so they can raise the prices as high as they want.
Exactly.
And if they were to flood the doctor market with more doctors, then prices would come down. Now that's just for the actual doctors themselves. Then we have all these kajabillion, I just made that word up, dollar machines that cost a lot. But basic doctor care. Then you could go into the actual answer. Unfortunately, this person isn't going to want to hear. And that really is the fact that the pharmaceutical companies, you could go back to Ford, Carnegie, and Rockefeller if you want to, they literally keep Americans sick. They keep Americans in the city. They keep Americans dependent upon on the system. They don't want Americans farming. There are too many regulations, right, for homeopathic practices and doctors and things like that. All of those things, if reversed, would go a very, very long way.
So I'm trying to bring this up, but what keeps coming up is the Queen Elizabeth had a homeopathic doctor who died in a cycling accident this year. He was 67 years old and was riding the High Holborn area and when a collision occurred. Police said he died at the scene. The Queen had the Queen had this homeopathic physician for 15 years.
Wow.
No wonder she's looking so good. Right?
No,
Isn't she a testament to like natural healing? And here's the thing, if you want to find a natural healer, or if you want to find a homeopathic doctor, those are so hard to find. I mean, we tried with Michelle. She had some, an ear problem. We found out it was like allergies. But they're so hard to even get into. And they don't charge an arm and a leg.
Right.
Just an arm. But still, you can't even get in to see these people. It's like, where do you even go to see a doctor? You have to go to the emergency room to get a doctor. It's absolutely insane.
Okay, Stuart the Brit, that is horrible. He said, my shot blasting machine blew up in my face 2 weeks ago, nearly took my right eye out, let it heal naturally, and has healed perfectly within a week or so. Well, praise God, but that's
Lord
really
for
scary.
That.
Belinda Kennedy says the UK used to have the best nurses in the world. Most of the training colleges have closed down now.
Wow. All right. So I'm going to move on to what I feel is the highlight of.
She was so excited about this that she came outside to help Kansas and I on the deck a little bit ago. And as much as Kansas is one of the most amazing workers, he's efficient. He gets stuff done. He can't talk and chew gum at the same time. Like, he can't talk. He's going to have. And so I said, Leah, you're distracting.
And have deep conversations, because like he was totally getting it. This was a 50-minute interview and it went by like that.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted more from Tucker here. This was the real Tucker. He filters himself a lot. I'm saying
on the Tucker Carlson show. This is Tucker and Ben Shapiro. And it came out 2 weeks ago, but you thought it was more recent. You were a little bit disappointed.
Well, yeah, because I was like, but oh my gosh, 2 weeks old. It's not news anymore. Yeah, seriously, it is, because I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and the friend of mine was Ben Shapiro, And I was talking...
Not really, yeah figuratively. They get it.
Came from the conservative mindset that is on its way out, that's dying. What we have is it's called populism now, so that's the term, just get used to it. It just means the party of the people. It means you and me. We have a voice now.
Right, it's so great.
So the Steve Bannon had a debate about, is populism on the rise? Is it going to be the parties of the future? I haven't even started, but go ahead. Oh, she wants to fix the camera? Where are you going? Accident.
No.
Oh, outside?
Oh, they just wanted this. Okay.
Mom, are you...
Not me, is it?
No, it's not. You can come back in. We gotta shut the door.
Oh.
You can turn the camera. Now I have to fix it. Thanks, Mom.
We have
one of the worst intersections. Hang on, I'll fix it.
People are always getting in accidents on our corner. And so Mom heard an accident, and we were going to have to shut down.
But it looks like it's more, they just went into the ditch. I think that there's not a lot of damage.
The other night it was some kid. He should have died. Praise God he didn't.
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to Tucker, because nobody's dead. That's good.
Yay.
All right. Praise the Lord. It happens a lot. People get in accidents around here, but God saves them.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. One girl flipped her car as I was mowing.
That was horrible.
And we prayed and prayed and prayed. And the next day...
She walked away.
She walked out of the hospital. I mean, like, the car was wrapped around the telephone pole. They had to cut her out with the jaws of life. And she walked away. Praise the Lord.
That was actually on a Friday, remember? Because we were supposed to go live and...
that happened.
Yeah.
All right. So, Steve Bannon says there's going to be... Populism is on the rise. That the old guard liberalism and the Democrat Party of Hillary Clinton, that's dead. You're still trying to hang on, but it's really dead. The party of Beto O'Rourke, the party of Gillum, the party of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, these socialists.
You didn't tell him what she said.
Oh, I'll tell it later. She said we're gonna take we're gonna get back. We're gonna take back the 3 chambers of government. You know, the 3 chambers of the House. What she said. 3 chambers of Congress. What she said. We're gonna take back the 3 chambers of Congress. I mean the 3 chambers of government. The 3 chambers of Congress is what she said. So yeah, everything she says is so. You know, we have a slip of her tongue, but she doesn't know what she's talking about.
And you know what I think it is you know when Elijah was taken up with his chariot of fire and Elisha said that he wanted that mantle of Elijah? I think that she wants the mantle of Nancy and Maxine, which, Alexandria, what comes with that are these slip-ups that you're doing. Yeah. They're just going to get progressively worse.
That's awesome.
Okay, so wait, before you go on.
Okay.
I don't want to forget anything. Last night we saw Maia on her movie. I screamed like a little girl. I was like, it was like that. And I was very excited. The Christmas contract on Lifetime, when they put these movies out, they replay them. So all you have to do is go to Lifetime and search for the Christmas contract, and you'll be able to see her. She said that she's going to be signing autographs tomorrow at her Lafayette Farmers Market.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
But seriously, it was so exciting to see you in there, Maia. We were giddy.
That was fun. Yeah. So the rise of populism, it's going to be either libertarian populism or socialist populism. So
let's go with libertarian.
No, it will be. Let's go with it. Yeah. But when I'm talking to this progressive guy, I want to tell him that I don't even know if you can call it libertarian populism, but I want to call it Christian populism, really. But we see the same things you see. My dad is a conservative. He votes Republican. My uncle votes Republican. Matt's dad votes Republican. These men, they don't vote Republican because they have family values, because they're pro-life. In fact, they aren't.
They just want to keep their money in their pocket.
They just want to keep they're selfish.
Right.
They don't want to see people helped. Christians should want to see people helped. And what Tucker says here is so profound and so deep. I don't know if all of you are going to get it, but I can't play the whole thing. I want you to play some of it and see if you can understand his line of thinking here.
Live happy lives, actually. I don't want to put 10 million men out of work, and the cascading effect from that will wreck your country.
Hey, and welcome to the Sunday special. I am super excited to be joined by Tucker Carlson, and we're going to jump into his brand new book, Ship of Fools, which is already a massive bestseller on the New York Times charts and on charts that are more reputable than the New York Times charts. We'll get into all of that in just a second. But first, we have to talk about your imminent death. So, you're going to die.
No, you don't.
Where did you come from? Where did you grow up? How did you be?
Wait, I don't want to see the beginning.
Different issues. I mean, I was once pretty stridently pro-choice.
Okay, we're going to skip.
Common beliefs is they have argued against the fact that it should exist. And so, like, and what they're doing clearly is, I mean, it's not complicated. They're dividing in order to rule, of course, what the British did in India. But that's the shortest term thinking. I mean, that's like day trader thinking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what do you think are those common ideals? You say that, there are certain things that you think are just basic to being American. What are those common ideas?
I mean, I guess I'd start with the Bill of Rights. I mean, that's not hard. Do you know what I mean? Since it is a founding document, it's the foundational document. But I think, look, you'll notice the book is long on diagnostics and short on solutions.
We have a lot of solutions. I was talking about this with my mom.
Because that reflects who I am and what I do. I'm not a policymaker at all. I'm an observer. I'm not a deep systematic thinker. Again, I'm a talk show host. Right. So I'm pretty good at telling you what I think is wrong. It's not as clear how you fix it other than go back to the obvious things. Like demand that everybody who comes to this country for economic opportunity, for example, or for the safety of our rule of law, also buy into the things that make all of us Americans. Like it's not complicated, really. So yeah, I would start with the Bill of Rights. Like you have an absolute right as defined in 1967 by the Supreme Court, but also by sort of centuries of tradition here in this country, which we inherited from another culture across the ocean, to believe what you believe. Unmolested, period. It's an absolute right. You can't violate my conscience. And that right is under assault, not by a political party, but by, in effect, a secular evangelical faith, which we're calling progressive or liberal or whatever, but it's not. It's a species of religion that seeks to convert by force and that is deeply anguished and concerned that other people disagree. So, like, I doubt you go home tonight and fret at any length.
I like what he says here, and I'm going to interject. He says, I doubt you go home at night and fret about people who don't agree with you.
Yeah.
But the liberals literally stay up at night trying to convince people in rural America to think like them.
Right.
I see it on Twitter. I see it on social media. These people are literally afraid that you don't, like we can have discussions, but these people don't want discussions. They want you just to think like them.
Exactly.
I'm not arguing against that. People are innately hierarchical. So are dogs. It's a mammal thing. Okay. So you're not going to change that. There will always be people who are making more decisions than other people, who are making more money than other people.
So he asked Tucker Carlson, because Ben Shapiro went to Harvard. There are elites, which meaning the best person in every category. And then there's elitists. And he asked Tucker to distinguish between the two.
Well, they are the people at the top of your society. What has changed from previous generations is not simply the magnitude of the concentration of wealth and power, though I do think, measurably, that it is more disproportionate than ever. But that's not really what's changed. What's actually changed is the mindset of the people in charge. They no longer acknowledge they're in charge, and they no longer acknowledge that they have a responsibility to the people whose lives they influence. So the robber barons who we learn, Carnegie and Rockefeller and Phipps and all the people that we learned to hate in ninth grade, those people, had a lot of flaws. And I do think the concentration of their wealth was a threat that did justify what Teddy Roosevelt did. You know what I mean? Breaking up the trust was really important to allow capitalism to continue. But one thing I would say in their defense is they knew they were in charge. They admitted it, and they understood that it came with obligations, because it always does. If you're a parent, you're in complete charge of your children. You can do whatever you want to them. You can make them wear funny hats, dance on one foot. You can make them speak a different language. You can do whatever you want. They're your kids.
This is an incredibly interesting line of thinking, because we as Americans left a predominantly hierarchical set of rules and laws, monarchies.
Yep.
And America was this divinely inspired experiment of self-rule. But you're always going to have people at the top.
Yes.
And it goes along with the scripture that says, mark those who would be rich, that they're willing to give, willing to communicate. And Ben Shapiro, as moral as he is, as religious as he is, he believes in charity. Yeah. But for some reason, he has a hard time when you try to tell people at the top to give, because he associates that with government control. Yeah. And he talks about it should be charity, but he never says, hey, you elites, this is what you should do.
Right.
Now, this is where
have dogs sleeping at the base of the camera. We can't, and then they roll over. And then
this is where I align with progressives. I believe that Amazon, Jeff Bezos, who is the richest man in the world, should be paying his people more, and they should be living at a higher standard living. Okay? I don't believe that the government should step in and make him do it. Right. But I believe there should be a huge social pressure on him to do so. But when you do say it, you get the conservatives like Ben Shapiro saying, oh my gosh, it's his money, he can do what he wants. Right. No, you have a responsibility. If you are a wealthy person, if you are stealing the wealth from everyone, if somebody like Amazon who can randomly charge an extra, which is what he just did, $10 a year to each person, millions of dollars. Oh, I just lined my pockets with millions of dollars just by raising my prices. Right? And I didn't give my workers any sort of kickback from this at all. Sure. And there was a strike today, I believe in Britain, from Amazon workers as well. So you're going to have that. He talks about later in his interview about the rise of the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. And he talks about the Industrial Revolution. Yeah. And on Ben Shapiro's side, he's like, free market capitalism, free market capitalism. We have always said that there is such a thing as crony capitalism. What real free market capitalism is that I make a good, I'm free to make my good. The government can't come in and say, I can't chop down my tree. Right. I can't have a business on my property. And I can't sell that and keep the proceeds for myself and give a little bit, a taxation, a little bit to police or to government as to protect my goods.
What it shouldn't do is give the government, or not the government, it should give these large, massive companies the anonymity and the, not anonymity, but, so when you're not responsible for something of a human being.
Immunity.
Thank you. That's what happens. We give these companies, they now become a human being, right? A singular entity in and of themselves, and the buck never stops with just one person. Right. And so that's when the crony capitalism can happen, because you have, let's say, a board of 100 guys. They could totally mess over an entire company or, clients or, whoever, and be completely... they can wash their hands of it. They don't have to be responsible for it. They're not accountable. Right. Because you've given that...
Black Lives Matter or global warming or whatever. What he was doing...
Here, this is a perfect example. He talks about Uber here.
Hats, dance on one foot. You can make them speak a different language. You can do whatever you want. They're your kids. You're God. But with those rights, your rights as a parent, come obligations to take care of the people over whom you have control. And that is what has been lost. And so Travis, the teenage billionaire who ran Uber, founded it, oversaw the second biggest employee workforce in the world, and yet he didn't claim them as employees. He didn't pay their health insurance. 1/3 of them lost money working for him. Now, you could say, well, it's the free market. Okay, fine. But it doesn't absolve him of his core responsibility. If you're creating a hierarchy of responsibilities, first is to the people closest to you, and that would include your children, your spouse, your employees, and then to the world. They've inverted that. So Travis was always lecturing the rest of us about police brutality or Black Lives Matter or global warming or whatever. What he was doing was displacing his responsibility from the real and the tangible to the theoretical and cost-free. So I would get these notices on my Uber app being like, let's pause for a moment to remember the victims of police violence, which, that's fine. But before you start lecturing me about my moral inadequacies and about how you care more than I do, maybe you could pay for the health insurance of your freaking employees, pal, Mr. Teenage Billionaire Guy. So this is actually part of a much larger syndrome that grows out of the meritocracy the SAT created 60 years ago, that has convinced the people in charge that everything that, and trust me, this is the world I'm from, is convinced them that, of course, they're richer and better educated, and by the way, more attractive than the people in the great middle of the country, in the medieval parts of the country. Okay, that's all true. But they're convinced that they're succeeding because they're better. They are better. I'm just a better person. I made better choices than you.
This is where I think we come to the second half where we disagree. So I talked about bifurcating sort of the conversation into elite control of your life in terms of family life and everything else, with the economic suggestion that the meritocracy itself is deeply flawed, and that the meritocracy can only survive if the people on the top of the meritocracy start to essentially give things away to a certain extent. So the Uber suggestion that you make, for example, the reason that Uber operates with a bunch of independent contractors is obviously because it's less costly. It's because it's less costly that Uber is able to have an extraordinarily profitable enterprise that allows them to have all these independent contractors in the first place. If you have employees, then basically you have a taxi medallion company, and that restricts supply. Obviously, that leads to increased pricing, which leads to more competitiveness with the taxi companies, the worst product for consumers. So
then pay them more. Okay, I'm all for independent contractors, but if you're a billionaire, pay them more.
Right.
I mean, what is that? Has anybody ever seen A Christmas Carol and Scrooge, and then you see Mr. Fuzzy
I
Wig?
know workhouses.
Yeah, but don't you ever see Mr. Fuzzywig? He pays the people proper,
Right.
and he throws the
Right.
Christmas parties, and everybody's happy working for them
Right.
because he cares for them, and he's not
Right.
skimming off all the cream off the top.
Exactly.
He is sharing the wealth with his employees because he views them as fellow workers, and he views them as part of his vision and his team.
And I would say don't be deceived by Ben here, because what he's saying actually sounds like it makes a lot of sense. We as consumers want the cheapest, the best product for the lowest price.
Right.
Okay, and that's what he's saying. Of course that's what we want. The problem with that is you're not looking at this Travis kid who is making a $1 billion, okay, and
Right.
not passing that on.
Right.
And so we do have a Scrooge-like thing where he's going out and putting on the app, let's remember the victims of police brutality, or, you know, having this bleeding heart socialist kind of thought mentality. And I think it's very healthy for a person like Tucker to say, you know what, hang on a second. If you're going to tout that we should all be giving, then you should be exemplifying that.
Treat your employees
right
as if they were your children who you loved.
Yeah.
So if you're going to hire someone, you would pay them what you would pay your own child.
Right.
So that you can still sustain a business.
Yeah.
If you can have a profitable business, you can say, there are times when somebody says, literally, in order to have a profitable business, this is what I can pay you.
Yeah.
Then that's what you can do. You're doing what you can. But if you have a more profitable business,
yeah,
and you're literally watching somebody suffer or just scrape by,
well,
then,
I think really the hypocrisy is what Tucker is talking about here, though.
Right, exactly. The whole Black Lives Matter, social justice. They want the government to provide programs for Amazon workers who almost all of them, like
right.
a third of them, qualify for food stamps.
Right.
So Jeff Bezos is all for like food stamps and government programs
right.
where... and this is a good place for you to put in your story with Jordan Peterson, that woman, the social justice woman.
Oh, yeah. So I just talked about this earlier in my little short 10-minute video today. But the short of it is that Jordan Peterson, in this debate with this feminist socialist lady, had talked about, like, she wants to give everything away. Like, she wants all these social programs and stuff.
Not her own stuff.
But not her own
Your
stuff. He said, listen, why don't you, who make a very good salary, just trade spots with somebody that has less than you? And she says, well, frankly, I don't think that I should have to, and I don't want to.
Right.
And she said, but I do believe that we should have a social structure where people are all forced to give into it. And he says, well, who should do that? And she was saying something about taking it from the filthy rich. And he says, well, who's the filthy rich? And she said, well, commonly known as the top 1%. And then he says to her, well, you do realize that you, historically speaking, if we take history from recordable history till now, are in the top 1%. And she really had to think about that, because it's so true. I probably own 20 pairs of shoes, to be ashamedly honest. Okay. I mean, seriously.
There are people who own more. Don't worry about it.
We have this technology. We have running water. We have pretty much anything that you could imagine. I mean, we live like in Star Trek. You can go to the replicator. Literally, I go to Amazon.com and I buy what I want and it shows up at my door sometimes the same day. I mean, literally, even the poorest of poor have cell phones. They have a roof over their head. Cars. Think about automobiles. Like, to purchase an automobile when they first came out, that was a huge status symbol. And now we all have cars. We all can go wherever we want. We're not stuck at home, right? I mean, even the poorest of people in America live closer to that top 1%, historically speaking. Not when you look at it from a percentage-wise of, okay, let's say you have a plantation owner who had so much more than everybody else. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you look at the things that you have, if you compare that with the things and the opportunities and the freedoms that they had in the past, we literally are filthy rich. And you are in the top 1%, historically speaking.
So the question is, when it comes to this idea that the meritocracy itself is deeply flawed, I want to read a quote from your book because it struck me, because it's obviously a really well-written book, and it makes some arguments that struck me as actually very much in sync with, for example, some of the things that Bernie Sanders says. So the quote is this.
Let me just say, because they are.
Oh, so that's exactly what I'm going to ask you in a second. So here's the quote. Prosperity is a relative measure. It doesn't matter how much brightly colored plastic crap I can buy from China. If you can buy more, you're the rich one. I'm poor by comparison. Poverty doesn't cause instability. Envy does. So I actually agree with the last couple of sentences that envy causes instability. But my solution to that is people should actually, it's actually against the 10 Commandments. Like, you should stop worrying about what your buddy has if your life is better.
I couldn't agree more.
Despite all the talk about economic stagnation in the United States since 1979, you can get a lot better stuff. That cheap colored plastic crap is not just junk from China. I mean, you're talking about better cars, better refrigerators, better air conditioning, bigger houses in many cases.
That's great. I'm for that. I benefit from all of that. How's that work? What's the suicide rate doing right now?
Well, I think the suicide... So the question is
so we just elected Donald Trump president?
Right.
As if you needed a clearer indication that there is profound, not just dissatisfaction, but unrest. You would not elect Donald Trump president unless you were enraged and desperate. And so we do not take this seriously. That's the point.
So where do you draw the lines then on government control? So for example...
There are many lines. Look, let me just say, I'm not a secret socialist. Every view of mine is completely transparent.
No, for sure. I'm not accusing you of being.
No, I don't think you are. I just want to be clear about it.
Yeah.
I just think that policymakers never should avert their gaze from the goal, which is a stable society. Stability is underrated. It's underrated because we've always had it. So it's almost like, you don't appreciate a friend until he dies. And you're like, oh man, I wish I'd, told him I loved him or whatever. We've had, with a 4-year exception, almost continuous social stability, the strata upon which we built our economy and our civil society. All of that was possible because we had a stable society. We had a middle class that was the majority. And now we don't. And so
he starts it off in one of these sections, and forgive me for not blocking this off. He says, young people are drawn to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because they cannot pay off their student loans. Yep. They cannot buy a house. They're having trouble buying cars. They're in their parents' basement, not because they want to be, because they don't have money. Right. And Ben Shapiro conservatives are stuck in the dark ages saying that it's just your fault. We're not in the 1950s where you can just be who you want to be and a man can just go to work and take care of his kids. And if he works hard and puts his nose to the ground, he'll have a pension to take care of him and blah, 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 like my grandpa did. Right? Okay? We're not in that kind of environment.
Do you want to know part of it? Part of the reason for that is because, let's say you talk about your grandparents. Okay, let's cut it in half. Let's go to the 1950s or whatever. It's because in the 1950s, the dollar still had some of its value left.
Bingo, baby.
And the reason why we live in such desperation is because we are literally living on credit. Everyone lives on credit. It's a house of cards. It's an illusion that makes you think that our nation is prosperous because we can buy all of these things. But when I say credit, I don't mean you and your credit card debt, which that exists and that is part of it. I don't even mean you and your home loan. All right? I mean the big loans. We're talking the big businesses loans.
Amen.
When a bank buys another bank's debt in the billions of dollars, okay, and then somehow turns that into more money for the other bank that now has this fake money. It's just a transference.
And
it's a
so
sleight of hand, and our nation is founded on that. Not founded, I just mean since the 1913.
In America, it's a little bit different than in any other country. We have at our fingertips these 0% credit cards. We have at our fingertips.
Rick Baza hit the nail on the head. He said, Michelle, it's not that we are filthy rich. In fact, it's the opposite. We live in a cheap credit society, and we are paying for stuff we can't afford.
And in order to survive in society, you have to have the things.
Right.
So imagine if you had to save up all of your money and buy a house with cash. Okay? Imagine if you had to save up all your money.
People would live more frugally.
And they would build their own houses, and they would get rid of the regulations and all of the regulation on building a house, because they're like, wait a minute, I got to do this by myself.
It's a trickle-down effect of our societal collapse.
Exactly. So, like, you know, in Venezuela, I'm not sure you have to have a building permit right now.
Yeah, probably
you know what I mean?
not.
Like, and even in rural Kentucky, you don't have to have a building permit. That's like one of the only states in the country. But what Tucker Carlson is touching on is the fact that people are living in middle America in sort of desperate straits. And nobody's really talking about it because so many people have nice big houses and they're nice big things, but it is all on this fake credit that immediately can stop like that.
Right. People are losing their houses at the drop of their hat. The drop of the hat. The cars are getting repossessed. When you have a home mortgage that costs you, you know, $1,200, $1,500 a month.
Baby.
I'm talking about the basic lower middle class. Okay. Right. When you have car payments, if you have two people, your car payments are going to be $600 or $700 a month.
Right.
Okay. That's a lot of money, and it's all fake. It's all on credit.
Exactly.
We're not thinking clearly about what's going to happen unless and until we regain that stability. And the core factor driving it is expanding inequality, not just the fact that our ruling class is richer than it's ever been, including me, but that the rest of the country is going in the other direction. Life expectancy for huge parts of the country is in decline. Like, that's the most so I guess I would just say the problem with the meritocracy is not that the idea of a meritocracy is bad. I'm completely for it. I'm from Southern California. I mean, talk about a region predicated on meritocracy.
People are moving less, however, than they have in the past 30 years.
So Ben Shapiro's idea is to just have people move because there's 7 million jobs that need to be filled. And if you can't find your job in your neighborhood, just leave. And Tucker Carlson says, so like leave their parents' grave and their siblings and their stability, you know, that's a whole other issue that Ben Shapiro isn't even talking about. Just move, go get a better job. Well, guess what? If you're working 2 jobs, who's going to watch your kids?
Right.
Well, you're going to have to put them in daycare, or if you're at home and you are having to work 2 jobs and you got your family, that's going to be better. It's better stability. I mean, and it's just so many things that Ben Shapiro and these establishment conservatives are so elitist in their mindset. They don't get it. They don't understand what it is to be like, I have children. Where am I going to put them if I'm working? Right. And Tucker, for all intents and purposes, I don't know if it's through revelation of Jesus Christ, because I don't think he's ever suffered a day in his life. I don't think he's ever gone hungry a day in his life. But
he gets it.
He gets it, and that's what Donald Trump gets.
Can I answer a question really quickly? Because this is something that doesn't come up very often in the chat, and I just want to hit on it because, again, it's my passion. Mark says, credit is curious. Who owns the paper? Little interesting fact. For all the money that exists in circulation in America, there aren't equal papers for it. There are not equal dollar bills. They don't print dollars the way that they used to. Equal, right? Because now we have a digital currency. So when you go and deposit $10 into your bank now adds $100 that they can then and go loan out. And so they've literally pulled money out of thin air, and that's where inflation comes from. Carry on.
They're really, literally, in order to bail out the banks during the 2008
they
crash,
had to just start adding
you
zeros.
guys, do you really think that they went to the printing press and said, please go print off billions of dollars of extra money?
They literally went to GM's bank account and they just added
Well, it wasn't
zeros.
GM. They didn't.
Okay, you know what I mean.
The banks.
Like, they literally went to the banks and they just added zeros. We don't have this money. Let's create it.
They literally just added zeros.
Since one, it will engender resentment inevitably, as it has. And the people who feel resentment, since they still have the vote, Their labor is worth nothing, okay? That's why labor unions have collapsed. The value of labor has declined over the past 100 years dramatically, but they still have the franchise. They still have political power. And what are they going to do with that power? They're going to punish you.
Which is what happened. He's explaining to you what happened and why Pennsylvania started to vote for Donald Trump. Because the unions are collapsing, because labor is actually not needed as much, because everything's being mechanized and mechanized. And what he says here,
we both went to say
about technology, basically, just because, like Jurassic Park, just because you can do something
doesn't mean you should.
Should you do something? And there was a reason for the Bolshevik Revolution and people literally breaking up machines because their jobs were becoming obsolete. Now, I want everybody to have their own farm, but here's what happened when tractors were invented. Little known fact, everybody wanted the bigger, better, faster. What did they do? They leveraged their whole farm and home against the bigger, better, faster tractor. Now, it looks good when you see the tractors out there, but the farms have conglomerated.
Right.
And family farms, people who used to be self-sufficient, people who used to be able to make it through depressions, they used to have real wealth. When Michelle talked about being filthy rich, we actually don't have very much real wealth, but we have more real wealth than others because we have a little bit of land, and we do a lot on our little bit of land. Land. People used to know land was wealth.
Well, and
which is why property taxes existed in the first place.
When you talk about these farms that were foreclosed upon or
because of the bigger, better, faster,
a lot of people think that they were maybe forced off their farm and they just couldn't afford to farm anymore.
No.
They had literally leveraged their farms against for loans for many reasons, but a lot of times it was for bigger machineries.
These loans, many of them were callable in at any time. Any time. Which is how these banks conglomerated all the farms and became wealthy, because land does equal wealth.
All right, let's get back to the
Isn't the way
populism, and that Trump is the beginning of that.
But isn't the way that at least the founders thought of this, that the way to prevent the elites, an elite class from controlling other people's lives is to restrict the inherent power of government to control everybody's life? When you suggested before that the goal of the society should be stability, everyone wants a stable society, but there are lots of different, you say this in the book, there are lots of different types of stable societies. Yes. There are monarchies that are stable societies. There are communist regimes that are
stable.
Right, exactly. There are dictatorships that are incredibly, North Korea is a very stable society.
That's right.
So is the goal of our society stability primarily or freedom, and when do the two come in conflict? Because
they often do, and that's an incisive question, and you're exactly right. And I would say to narrow the goal down to a single thing, as I did, is probably stupid. Stability makes a lot of other things that you want possible. But I would say within the American context, what you want is a country where the average person, again, with an IQ of 100, and, an income of 90 grand a year and 3 kids can sort of live the life that people lived under those circumstances in 1950. Like you want the average person to feel like he's vested in the society, that he can have a stable family without, by the way, let me just say, the economic impetus behind family destruction is totally underappreciated by conservatives. So they looked at the landscape of inner city America for 50 years and they're like, no, family formation's gone. Like the overwhelming majority of kids grow up without a father. That's a cultural problem. Yeah, well, okay, yeah, it is a cultural problem. That's one way to describe it. But what's its root? Why did it happen? Well, look at rural America now, where you're seeing the incidence of fatherlessness like spike.
Yep.
It's unknown in my neighborhood. I live in a rich neighborhood. I'm sure you do too. Right. Like everyone's married. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's no divorce where I live. In rural America, divorce among white people is now the rule. Out of wedlock births in a lot of zip codes are the majority. It's not. Why did that happen? Because the men make less than the women. Nobody wants. Then there's so much social science on this. Nobody wants to say it out loud because you're violating some unspoken rule of like unhappy feminism or something. I don't care. It's true. Study after longitudinal study has shown that when men make less, women don't want to marry them. Now, maybe they should. Ask. I have 3 daughters. Ask them. And they're not ideological at all. And they're totally open-minded. They're young people. Would you want to marry a man who makes less than you? What? No.
Do you think that's because of structural changes in the American economy, or the counter-argument, which would be the welfare state, which is when you start to see all of this begin to
Definitely the
spike.
welfare state, of course, plays a huge role in this, but I'm talking employed people. So when manufacturing dies, what's left? Well, in a lot of parts of the country, huge swaths of rural America, you have two main employers, the schools and the hospitals. Those are the full-time year-round employers. And those are traditionally female, not exclusively.
Right.
There are many exceptions to all of this. And there are plenty of women who are happy to marry a man who makes less than they do. But I'm saying across large populations, that is true, and it's been shown to be true. So when male wages decline below those of females, marriage formation declines along with it. But childbirth does not.
Right.
In other words, we're sort of
Right.
hardwired to impregnate, okay? That continues.
So this was incredibly interesting to me, and I was trying to explain it to Kansas and Michelle. And did you now understand what he was saying? I don't think Kansas quite got what he was saying. I wasn't saying that
we
women
were getting it.
Women just want to go after rich dudes. No, women are hardwired to know that they're probably going to have a baby. And when they have that baby, they're going to need somebody to make sure that they have a shelter and food and clothing for that baby, because they're probably not, we're hardwired. I'm not going to say we're probably not. We're hardwired to know that we're not going to be able to work a job and make money while we're raising this child. This is biological. This is put in us at Adam and Eve stage.
No, and it's also kind of primal as well.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a mammal thing where you have the guy that comes in, whatever. Can't even think of an animal that fight. Yeah, okay, that would fight another male. Okay, and then the biggest one, the strongest one, wins out. And the theory is because then the female knows, this guy can take care of me. Or you get the ones that, like the birds that kind of puff up all, whatever. So it's very primal.
Yeah, and in the biblical sense, you really recognize that men are stronger than women physically.
What are you doing?
Okay, and so when you women aren't really going to want to marry and attach themselves to a man who can't provide for them. Now, you're going to have feminism that rewires wires that were already wired by God at the beginning of the foundation of the earth. And so they're going to be happy making tons of money. They're going to be happy being the breadwinner. And they're going to be happy with their stay-at-home dad husbands. That's not the majority of women because we're not biologically wired for that. And that's what Tucker Carlson is saying. Okay, but people are biologically wired to want the children to begin with, or want to even be with a person of the opposite gender. But to actually marry the person, to say, I am yours and you are mine. People don't, they're like, fine, I don't need you. I don't need to put up with your stuff. I don't need to put up with your attitude. It's fine. We'll do the deed or whatever, but I'm not going to just for better or worse with you. Right. If you're not going to be bringing in the bacon, if you're not going to be, and what this does, I'm going to kind of get to the end. That's just one aspect of this totally interesting kind of conversation that Tucker has with Ben.
Heidi on Facebook says, my husband makes the bacon and I take care of the house. I like it like that.
And most women are wired that way. Not that women don't bring in an income. I mean, the Proverbs 31 woman sees a field and buys it.
Right.
But we're wired literally to be a helpmeet.
Right.
If Adam didn't know what he was doing and he wasn't ruling the garden, she wouldn't be a helpmeet. She's designed to help him in his job. So it's not about money.
Right.
Okay? It's about he knows what he's doing and we're there to help support it. And if he's really awesome at what he does, then you're up there, you're the queen and he's a king. You know what I mean? Right. It means you're incredibly intelligent. Doesn't mean that women can't run the household. Doesn't mean that women can't bring in the bacon. But by and large, if you're running around watching a toddler, you're not going to be able to work an 8-hour day job somewhere else. Right. I watch animals for a living. I know that there's little children. They run around. They put their fingers in light sockets. Somebody's got to be watching these people. All right, I'm going to finish up this, and we're going to finish.
Have
this
you
up.
moved to some crappy suburb to serve some...
That's Ben Shapiro saying, again, move for a job.
Market fundamentalists in Washington. They're like, well, we can't stop. This is technology. It's inexorable. Like, we have really no role in it.
So here's where he gets really interesting. He talks about technology and saying, maybe just because we can do something doesn't mean that we should. And with the Industrial Revolution, nobody stopped to say, should we? Should you? Should we? Should we? Should we?
Other than to try to benefit from it. It's like, really? You're talking about machines. Are they really in charge? No, we're in charge. We're human beings with free will. God created us to make these decisions.
No, but there is a balance, obviously, between...
I love what he says here. And Matt actually called it out. Before, as I was telling him about this, he's like, well, that kind of makes machines gods, and we're not going to be ruled by machines. And literally, we've gotten to the point where technology says, oh my gosh, we're going to have technology check you out at the grocery store. Technology needs to check you. It's the way it's going to go, because technology tells us that we have to have kiosks at the restaurants. I mean, that's just the way it's literally saying that technology is now a sentient being telling us what it's going to do for our lives. Like, we can't stop the robots. We literally, have you seen it?
You know, and I feel
we
really
can't
bad.
stop
Hang
the
on.
robots.
I feel really bad for older people because when you have, a lot of times there are automated systems, and that is the only option. It's the only choice. And I know that they're difficult to, you and I can do it because we're used to our smartphones or our you know, whatever, we grew up with this stuff. But for an older generation who never got a computer, who doesn't have a cell phone, it's very difficult to walk into the doctor's office and then it says go to the kiosk and you have to, you know, press the buttons and fill out your social and everything like that. Like, it's very, very, the self-checkout at the grocery store. You mentioned the kiosks at like McDonald's. There are literally kiosks where you can go and order. Kansas and I were there the other day, and he and I couldn't figure out how to order from this stupid thing. I mean, seriously. And so I agree that it has turned this technology has said you can't have a business without a website. You can't have a business without Facebook. You can't have, you know, a business unless you upgrade to have an app or something like that. Like, you literally can't function in society unless you are constantly evolving with the new modern technologies.
When it comes down to life, is life about just having food and clothing and a house and a car? No. Life, what makes life living is interacting with nature, but more importantly, interacting with other people. That's what life is about. So you can literally be on an island, you know, and if you have another person to interact with, you can be happy.
Right.
And you can be fulfilled. Yeah. Right? So what we do, the more we automate, the less we lose the connection with humanity, just talking to people, touching people. You know, when it used to be, before fast food, which was not that long ago, you had a mom and pop restaurant.
Yeah.
And those people put love into the food.
Yeah.
And so you're actually healthier when people put love into the food.
Well, remember they're not we watched that documentary that Sooks had sent us about McDonald's with the milkshake thing.
Exactly.
And when they moved it to an automated milkshake machine, they had to compromise the ingredients to make a less healthy milkshake.
Exactly. And so we're losing love. And so when Tucker Carlson talks about the suicide rates, we're losing love. We're losing that connection. Like, I've got to be a good person because I need to make a connection with people today.
Right.
Right? I want, what customer service used to be, I'm making a good connection with people. You would hire good employees who make good connections with people. You'd go to a bank and they would get to know you and you would get to know them because you made a connection with people. Our life is about connections with each other. And that's what gets us happy. And that's what gets us excited every day because we're going to make connections.
I was in the bank the other day and the teller literally reached a piece of paper across from me and she says, have you tried out our new electronic deposit system? And I said, well, I did when it came out several years ago. It's been like 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. You can literally take a picture of the check, scan it into the system, instant deposit. And I said, you know, I'm kind of old school. I like to come in here. I like to see you guys. And then I literally went like this and I said, and I think it kind of puts you out of a job. And she was like, well, you know, of course, I want you to come in and see me. And I'm like, well, you have like 800 people that work here. It's not going to be you that I see. But the point is, she's like trying to pretend like, yes, I want you to come and see me and have an interaction. But really, they are trying to push this automation on people, and it is a forced
But what's interesting is, like, I'm going to sum this up. Like, the thing is that when you make connections with people, like, you have an overdraft. Mm-hmm. Okay, you go in, you know the banker, and I'm going to waive that fee for you.
Right.
An automated system isn't going to know you. It is not going to waive your fee for you.
Exactly.
Okay, so these are little things. Your grocer gets to know you. They save aside something for you. When you know the people, we don't have those connections. So Tucker Carlson he says he's long on problems. He's very short on solutions. So I want to end this with solutions. Okay, what is happening is a renaissance of people making connections, and I see it with Maia making her products.
Yes.
That's a connection, because I know that when I put on her deodorant and I use her soap, love went into that. There's a chemical. I mean, even Paul was sending out cloths for healing.
That he had prayed on. Yeah.
I know she's not going to put bad things in that because she uses them herself.
Right.
Right? And I'm going to support her and her family.
And she often texts me. We do these thankful lists, and she'll say, for seeing so many cute babies at the market today. And or seeing, you know, so-and-so at the market today. Seeing these repeat customers that come back.
So people, and some of these are the elites who can afford it to start it out. I think that if the elites are going to do something as far as social benefits, if you're going to use your money, use it to get the farmers and everybody up and going, because we're having a hard time getting started again. And we're needing more money than what things should cost.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of my friends are farmers, and they sell their chickens and their beef at higher prices than what normal people can afford.
Yes.
But that's because we're getting started. That's because they're not. Are we offline? What is happening?
We're off on Facebook, and then it randomly plays videos when you're off.
That's stupid. Somebody playing a video game has 400 people watching right now
on Facebook.
And that's a problem in our society, that 400 people watching that. So anyways, we have solutions.
Right.
Get to know your farmer. If you have any expendable income and you want to, I consider it when I buy my local milk from my Amish farmer for $8 a gallon. It's not this milk from the store. I know that it's healthy. I know I can cream off the top. I know it's like a probiotic. So when I think of it as a medicine, in that respect, and I know I'm investing in somebody who is loving the earth, who is farming, who is, and I'm supporting a real farmer. And actually, in inflationary prices, $8 a gallon is about what it should be at, compared to what my grandmother paid when they had the milk delivered. And it would be a little bit cheaper if everybody, like Sean and Tracy, Sean's a milkman, if everybody were getting the milk delivered to their house.
Right.
And it used to be like, I know a woman down the street from where I live, she got up every morning as a young girl and she milked 4 cows, and the milkman would come by and get her milk, and she said that she bought herself a coat with that milk money, and she was able to support herself with that milk money. She said her family grew all their own wheat and all their own food and all their own vegetables, and they made all their own home bread
down the street.
Yeah, exactly. And so we want a renaissance of people who are going to invest in people who are making things with their hands, and loving God and honoring the earth and honoring young farmers.
Britt Baza says, hey, Michelle, I run my business without a computer or a website. I still write bills with a pen and paper and don't use tech for anything business-wise, yet I do well at it. I rely on customer service.
That's true.
And he's made things for the queen. So,
yeah, that's awesome. So these are long on problems, short on solutions. We have a lot of solutions, and we bring those to you every day, but I think we're actually a little bit short on time for our solutions.
Yeah.
I love you guys, but Scotty sent a package, so we're going to get to that. But there are solutions. Buy local, start making your own, and we can stick it to the man, and we cannot be overrun by the machines and by the matrix. There's literally a force happening, and with the research, with the insurgence of the technology, farmers are using this technology and using the machines to get their information out there. And if you're going to use technology in some way, that's the way you should use it, to be able to live off the land and to live off grid even, and to be sustainable. If you need to use technology to get your product out there because you don't have the community there who is willing and ready to work with you or to barter with you, there's lots of Facebook groups out there for homesteaders. There's trading groups, there's bartering groups, there's Craigslist, there's eBay, there's Etsy.
Yeah.
Go to Etsy and buy from people who are smaller business people who have good business practices, and we can take this back from the man in the deep state and things like that.
We can. The package is so heavy.
Holy smokes.
So
this is from Scotty.
This is from Scotty.
Oh wow.
We both said that at the same time. Oh,
they're
my
piggies!
gosh.
Oh my gosh,
they're little
dummy
pigs. Wait, I'm opening them
They
up right now.
are so cute. You can't eat them.
What?
Well, you can. You can.
Well, I can't eat them.
You can, but they're so cute. I can't imagine eating them. Oh my gosh, they're gummy pigs. Scotty, where
Yummies, Candy and Nuts, Kittery, Maine.
But he's from Maine, so these are local. Oh my gosh, he just did what we told people to do. He bought local pig gummies.
Hang on, I have to see it on camera myself. Wait, I need to see that you. Oh my gosh! Get out! Get out! That's actually really tasty.
So
that's a yummy gummy.
That's
super yummy.
Unfortunately, it kind of like feels like pig skin.
I love that. I love gummies. I haven't had a gummy in a long time. I'm gonna eat these. We might not eat these, but I'm gonna eat them all. Oh my gosh, that's so fun.
Is so cute.
Stonewall Kitchen blueberry pancake waffle mix.
Is this
As Mainers, we love blueberries.
You did it.
Which is why adding blueberries to our top-selling pancake and waffle mix was a natural for us. The added sweetness is a delicious complement to this easy-to-make mix. With just a few added ingredients from your pantry, our pancakes and waffles cook up evenly in minutes so you can enjoy the tastiest pancakes and waffles.
That your gift would go along perfectly with our show. This is an example of what we buy local.
Jonathan King and Jim Stote.
Buy local.
Distributed by Stonewall Kitchen.
That's fantastic.
In York, Maine.
That's going to be fun. That's fun.
There you go. I want to
buy
eat that gummy.
Local.
Scotty, are you still here in the chat? He was here earlier.
Wow. What is that?
I don't know. It says orange cream.
I've never seen anything like this, so I don't know what it is.
Fudge push-up pop. Birthday cake. It's fudge. It's literally fudge that you eat in a push-up pop.
I have never seen anything like this before.
Okay, that is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Who eats? That's like got to be. Oh my gosh, you can't eat the whole. You can only like.
No, you
have to like literally slice off the top.
Oh
that is really cute, though.
Scotty,
obviously, this is homemade.
I'm
Literally,
not sure how to open this,
like sugar high.
I'm just gonna have to cut it
bubble
open.
wrap. That was intensely bubble wrapped.
There's a lot of air going on in here. I think it's for a good reason, though.
Bobby, we're gonna be done in just a minute. Just calm down, okay? We'll be fine.
I wonder if I can just slide this out. No, I can't.
Whoa.
Look at all the air.
I bet I know what it is. Is it to go with the waffles?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Wild blueberry syrup. Oh my goodness.
Wild blueberry syrup.
Show the people.
Maine.
Maybe take the plastic off. I want to eat another one of those gummies.
Wild blueberry syrup. Oh my god. Now this is fun.
Britt Boston says, Michelle, looking at that parcel there, I looked for my lemon meringue pie in the post today and was disappointed because it looked lovely yesterday and I didn't get it in the post. Why not? Leah made a beautiful lemon meringue. We're going to taste that.
I was going to open it to smell it.
Lemon meringue pie last night. He was hoping it had made it all the way to the UK.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Juice
that took a second. And then
juice from wild Maine blueberries.
That is so cool.
Sugar and pectin.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Scotty, I hope you're still here, man.
Wow.
I can still smell
blueberries.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. Next.
More bubble wrap.
A lot of bubble wrap. Oh, jeez. What's it say?
It says Flo's Relish. The secret's locked inside.
Hang on, I'm going to taste that. Wait, I want to taste the... You didn't even taste the blueberry thing.
I smelled it.
I want to taste it.
Buy local. Support Flo.
Whoa. That's delicious.
Flo sauce.
But what's in it?
Flo's famous relish complements many different condiments. This includes mustard, mayonnaise, and ketchup. It's also good on hamburgers.
What
and
kind
steaks.
of relish? Pickle relish?
Yeah, it's a peppery thing.
Whoa! Oh my gosh, it's a pepper relish. Wow, Flo. This is like a Leah deal.
Okay.
You
It's like
taste
an
it.
oniony, peppery thing. Oh, wow. That's good.
Oh, wow.
Hamburgers.
That is good.
Hot dogs. Onions, molasses, cucumbers. Ketchup.
Supreme coconut bar. Strawberry vanilla chocolate.
Wow.
I want to taste it.
Wow, there she goes again.
I know, I can't help it.
She can't help it.
Can you tell I'm hungry?
Coconut, corn
this is a
syrup,
perfect-
sugar, chocolate.
What is a coconut bar?
I don't know. It's made of coconut.
Okay.
Like made of coconuts.
Oh. Ooh. That's pretty yummy.
It's pretty.
That's actually pretty yummy. That's way better than I expected. I didn't expect it to taste like that. That's good.
She tried all the flavors. That's
I
funny.
did. Oh, that's good. I like that. Okay, hang on. There's one more thing in here. Oh my gosh, no way!
That's fun.
The art of pie. Be happy, make pie. We just made pies last night. It's like you're just like some sort of creepy predictor. We literally just did a show last night and we talked about our pie crusts, a practical guide to homemade crusts and fillings. Oh my gosh. Scotty, this is incredible. How did you know? This is fantastic. I'm wondering what prompted the pie book. Very useful.
Let's see.
Wait a minute. I'm thinking
Is this somebody local?
That's what I was wondering.
She lives in Washington, so.
Okay, no. Oh my gosh, but still, this is a fantastic book and very, very useful.
I could smell the pie from the book. Oh,
Whoa.
wow. The quintessential apple pie.
I could tell that was apple just by looking at it. Oh, man. Okay.
This is like a reading book.
We're going to have some fun with this.
Fried pies.
Fried pies.
Let's taste this. Slab fruit pie.
So we've been watching the British baking show, and this is going to be so much fun. What is that? Are those cherries?
I don't know what that one is. It looks like cranberries.
I thought so too, but then I thought, you can't make a cranberry pie, can you?
Yeah.
I've never had one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
So thank you, Scotty. I don't even know how to thank you enough. All these products from Maine. I'm addicted to the gummies. I have to be honest. Really yummy.
Line baking or pie baking a crust.
It's a delicious, yummy gummy, and it's shaped like a pig. Okay, so our friend Sooks, Brian, Sooks on the chat is his name, sent us a card and a little package. Count your blessings.
Pear pie.
Lee and Michelle, I'm thankful for all the entertainment and advice over these last couple of years. This year has followed me with several tragic events, but a good friend is like a light that brightens the darkest of the darks. Hope, blessings, big and small, fill your heart and home this season. Happy Thanksgiving. Your friend, Brian.
That's beautiful, Brian.
He even sealed it with a seal.
Aw.
Look at that.
Thanks, Brian.
Now-
Happy Thanksgiving to you, too. Chicken pot pie. Chicken pot pie, you know, I don't care.
He says, after church let out
Pumpkin
today,
pie.
there was a group from Israel selling carved wood products. I saw this and thought of you two. All the materials used to make this come from the Holy Land.
That's so cool. Oh my
So
gosh.
I had opened the box, but once I saw that this was in there, I was like, you know what? We're gonna wait and like literally just open it live on air.
Interesting packaging. Keep it safe.
Yeah.
Those little spongy, squishy things.
There you go.
Foamies.
Open.
Oh.
I'm gonna put this away.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Whoa! Holy macaroni.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
That is amazing. Okay, so.
Wow.
Somebody tell me what's in the things. Looks like
Let me see.
it's not gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Why don't you show the viewers and let's see if they can tell you.
What's in there?
Oh. That is a good question. Is that a mustard seed at the bottom?
No.
Okay. Catholics, what is this? What do we have inside here? Mom, do you know?
I'm sorry, what?
Come here.
What?
What's inside here?
Is there something there?
In all 4 spots.
I was like, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The top one looks like holy basil.
I have no idea. I'm waiting for the lag to catch up.
I have no idea.
Your mom was Catholic. Come on, get with it. This is beautiful. Thank you, Brian. That is really, really something.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We now have 2 crosses from the Holy Land.
We do.
Our Jewish friend brought us back a cross.
Yeah.
Not the mustard seed, right?
No, it's
That's
not.
what I said.
It's
It
not
looks
a
like
seed.
mustard seed.
It's
It
not
is
a
too a seed?
No, they're not mustard seeds.
Well, you think that could be frankincense?
It could be.
There was not a paper in the box, actually. Lisa was like, I think there was a paper in the box. Now we're going to have to ask Brian. Brian, it's beautiful nonetheless, but now it's a bit of a mystery that we need to figure out what's inside of the, and I kind of feel silly that I don't know what it is. Like, I should know this.
Well, I don't know.
I almost think this would be papaya or dried.
No, but it's got to have some sort of like meaning, right?
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to have to ask our Polish people on Sunday. They're all Catholic.
I don't know. We still have some Catholics in the chat right now. Chris is here.
St. Mark the Evangelist.
Yeah, we'll have to ask St. Mark. He'll probably know exactly what all this is. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Brian. I know Brian's not here right now, but he'll watch this back and see it. So that was really, really awesome. Fun mail call randomly in the food and the little gummy pigs. Like literally I've eaten half of the second one. Did you want to sing a song?
Yeah, I know we sing this one a lot, but
why don't I just put this gummy in my mouth?
Ha 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 ha. I want to sing this one again.
That's a good one. We sing that one a lot.
I know we do.
Oh, you know what? Robert Bone is in the chat. He wrote me a serenade song for my birthday, right? So you can go to Robert Bone right now. You can go and click on his name so that you can find it. He wrote me a birthday song. I need to tell you, Robert, at the end with the cross, that was one of the coolest things ever.
The sword?
The sword. It will look like a cross. Now I got this in my head. It literally looks like this. It's a sword, and on the one it says truth, on the one side, right? And on the other side it says Mass Faith 3.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So
the sword is pretty awesome.
The sword was really, really awesome. And you sing, I think you kind of sound like Elvis a little bit.
He sings really well.
You sing really, really well. So thank you for that, Robert. Like I said, you guys can go and check. I think it's on his channel.
And thank you for the ham.
And thank you for the ham. We haven't had the
good.
pecan pie yet because we were eating the pies that we made.
That's right.
But I'm super excited about the pecan pie.
What wondrous... I said... Wait, I don't want to do it too high. I don't do it too high.
No, I had a gummy. I was swallowing the last of the gummy.
Okay, because like after the show, sometimes if I start it too high, then I might get reprimanded. So I want to make sure that I start it right.
No. I'm ready. Whatever.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this that calls the Lord of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, for my soul. To bear the dreadful curse for my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down beneath God's righteous crown, Christ laid aside his crown for my soul, for my soul. Christ laid aside his crown for my soul. To God and to the Lamb I will sing, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb I will sing. To God and to the Lamb who is the great I am. While millions join the theme theme. I will sing, I will sing. While millions join the theme, I will sing. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing and joyful be. And through eternity, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And through eternity, I'll sing on. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this that caused the Lord of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, for my soul. To bear the dreadful curse for my soul.
Patriot Gallery, in for the win.
Just from people hearing the song, I think when you're talking about, people used to do things out of love. And I think that's what's real important when you read the Constitution or Declaration of Independence. You have to do it out of love and baby. God's love. Let love flow. And we have judges and people in this world, the UN and EU. They aren't making choices based out of love. When a mother raises her children, she should do it out of love. Amen. When a man does something, he should do it out of love. You guys are talking about homemade. You said something about making homemade things. Do it out of love.
These are locally sourced projects, and I have to tell you, these piggies, I'm sure, were made with love.
Right. And so when we do things out of love, when we get into money and paper money, fiat money, there's no love there. And you were talking to start off with the caravan coming up. The MSM is trying to manipulate people's minds. So you love these people and care about them. Excuse me, but you got to get down to the root of what's going on here. People who don't love these people, the UN and the EU, are doing it out of hatred to make America have the UN and the EU be your bosses, your leaders.
Right.
We have a system where we hire our representatives to represent us out of love. And your song was, what wondrous love is this, oh my soul. And so we got to get back to love. And so if you love what you're doing, and life is worthless without being loved. Right. If you have a husband or wife, you should love each other. Fathers, mothers should love each other. And if you have to work so hard every day, right, and you don't have, time to love your children and your wife, or your wife, you don't have time to love your husband and wife. I used to think I went to work because I love my children, but I was gone 10, 12 hours a day. Right. Then if you're not spending time with them, you don't love them. It doesn't matter. You can make $1 million.
I can tell you as a kid, all your kids want is just to spend time with you.
Yeah, and love them. And so that's why we push farming. Because if you're farming, you're home, you're going to spend all times. You work with or you be with who you love or what you love. Right. My mom always read books, and I thought she loved books. But if she loves books, she read books all the time, and she loved to read. But then that way she loved books over me. If you love your children, with them all the time. You want to be with them all the time, so you want to own your land, and you're going to make laws where you own your land, where you can provide for yourself off your land, so you can love and be loved. Life is worthless without love.
That's what our dogs are saying right now.
Exactly. So we do need to sign off, but before we do, Chris Holman has put in the chat that he has uploaded a video. Now, he's been gone for a while, and I think his video is an update and to let everybody know about, I think it's kind of a bit of a sermon to let them know what's coming in the new year when he really restarts his channel. I have seen his new introductions, and I kind of have an idea, a sneak peek as far as what the theme is for his rebranding, I guess. I'm not going to give any of it away. That's totally up to him. But I want you to go and check that out. I think that Kelly and Eric are still going live on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this birthday cake fudge it tastes just like a birthday cake. It was delicious. I'm like, my eyes, whoa, that was really good. Okay, one more Patriot Gallery.
I gotta tell people the only way to get love is through God. And you know God loves you, and you're able to love your mother, your father, love God, love Jesus. And the difference between Christianity and Muslims is there's no love in Islam. You don't see them love anybody. Right. It's for hatred and anger and meanness and violence.
Okay, you have to quantify that. In the beginning of the Quran is about love.
Nobody can hear you.
The beginning of the Quran is about love.
Love their family. Muslims do love their family.
But you
Muslims love their family.
See any of that fruit.
But you don't see it.
Right.
And you should love the people you're with. They should love the countries. They should love the people, the countries they're in. They should love each other.
Right.
And you see all this anger and fighting. And Michelle talked about the Indians in the beginning. Indians did not have a lot of love for each other.
Not all Indians, Mom. You can't
not all Indians. But you can't blame the Indians' destruction on Americans or on people who came here. The Christians came here and there was love. They were already fighting. There were always wars. And without using gold and silver, which is God's means of trading back and forth, that's why they always fought. They did not have a means of trading legally and fairly like using gold and silver coins. I've already prayed about it and thought about it. And that's where you get savages out of the Indians. They didn't share a common belief. Like in Brazil and in South America, they were Indians. But they were more civilized. They were able to build structures, the Aztec pyramids and everything, because they were using gold and silver. You don't see a lot of structures around America where they were able to build structures that last forever. And I tell you, it's about gold and silver because God created gold and silver and men to trade back and forth with gold and silver and use it also as a product to build things. I'm just saying love is the key, and the only way to get love is through God, through Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior.
And I would expound on that because what she's saying there, and I like to translate Patriot Gallery. Because she says things and it's a whole lot. Your sermon, I want to call it a sermon, earlier today talked about unjust weights and measures.
Right.
And so when Patriot Gallery talks about gold and silver, that's what I want you guys to translate it through, a just system of weights and measures. And when you are not using a just system, the Bible talks about this through and through, of weights and measures, then you're going to be able to cheat people. And you're going to be able to steal from them. And that is definitely something that's going to tear down any society. Wait, she's got one more thing to add.
In South America, the South Americans also had a civilized, they had a language, and they wrote it down, and they had, they studied the stars. And it was continued on. The Indians' language is wiped out. They weren't really as civilized because they weren't using gold and silver back and forth. I tell you, using that, I mean, we know about the Mayans calendar. They had a calendar. Indians didn't have all this stuff. And the same thing
were like shrinking heads and stuff.
In
so
Africa.
They were, but yeah.
You know, more civilized people are than their civilization lasts. The Egyptians had language that we can study and understand. And at last they built pyramids also. When people are civilized, they build structures that are going to last for centuries, for thousands of centuries. And so that's why you can't blame the white person when the Indians have wiped out. They were already on their way down because they had become so savage. They didn't have any language. They didn't have any structures. They didn't have any buildings that last for thousands. It would have been written in stone. I mean, we have some totem poles. But still, it's not the same as a written language and civilization that builds big, huge structures.
So I am going to translate Patriot Gallery because I know what she means. I'm going to give you an example. In Iran, you have the government buildings have the American flag and the Jewish flag at the front door. And in doing so, they chant death to America, and they want people to walk on the flags. But half of Iranians don't want to do that. I've seen videos on Twitter. I could bring them up. Right. They walk around the flags. Yeah. I've seen the videos in Iran where men or women will go up to women without a hijab and tell them they're prostitutes. Why are they naked? But then I see the men in Iran who love their wives,
right,
and will go and do the White Wednesdays with them, and there's love there. So within the Muslim community,
right,
there is a tremendous amount of love, and I really want to get that across.
Right.
There's a tremendous amount of love, but it's literally light and dark, because you also have, with the Islamic fundamentalist texts, a tremendous amount of hate, which is what we just read, and the Wahhabism and that's what Patriot Gallery was talking about. That is hate. You don't love your wife if you say it's okay to beat her.
Right.
No man loves his wife and says, I'm going to beat you out of love. Right. So that's what Patriot Gallery was saying. But there are men who ignore it. You have to be a bad Muslim to walk in love.
Right.
Or, and you still are a bad Muslim, you take the beginning part, which has a lot of verses on peace and love and working with Jews and Christians and loving Jesus. And there are good Muslims, but you actually have to ignore the extra hadiths.
Yeah.
And not listen to them. So you have to be a bad Muslim in that regard.
Exactly.
There are billions of Muslims. Most of them love their families, but most of them aren't as the extremists and the fundamentalists that you see taught in Pakistan.
Right.
You see taught in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And so I want to explain that. And also when it comes to the Indians and Native Americans in America, you had these different tribes who acted in different ways. And they didn't have a centralized government. And so you did have people who looted. You did have people who scalped. You did have people who went in and, I mean, you've read Last Mohicans, where it's a real thing, where they would cut out people's hearts and eat them. I mean, that is savagery. However, our pilgrims were led by God to meet with these wonderful, loving, kind Wampanoag people. They became friends with them, and they helped them, and they operated and walked in love. And so we want to say, not all people are this way, just like not all Catholic priests molest kids.
Right.
Many of them love their congregations, but you call out corruption where it's at. I mean, many Christians throughout history have hurt people, have molested people, have used Christianity negatively.
Is that what you wanted to share?
I want to show this. Liam made this.
This was last night.
Yeah. Out of love.
I had the blueberry last night. Wait, I want to show if you can see the.
What I'm just happy about is that the filling,
lighting's not right. You can't
the filling
see
is
right.
not all runny, and the top and the meringued up,
plate,
because the last time I made a lemon meringue pie,
I can't see it. It's not, the lighting's not right.
From scratch. It's
it
not
turned
made from
into
a box.
Well,
it can be perfectly made in a box, but this is a real homemade deal.
The last time I made it homemade, it was runny goop.
You can't see it. Oh, there we go. There you can see it. All right.
But I think a lot of this problems they have in Europe and we have in America is that we think that we should accept all religions, freedom of religion. That's not true. If there's a religion out there that asks you to commit suicide, that's not freedom of religion. If there's a religion like in Satanic, Luciferian, they ask you to sacrifice children and voodooism, that's not a freedom religion.
Right.
Freedom religion must lead to peace, internal peace.
Yeah.
Then you can have your religion. But if your religion asks you to kill for your God, no. It's not freedom religion. That's not covered in the Constitution.
Amen.
Exactly. All right, you guys, we are going to sign off. Chris, I know you lost your internet, but I did tell them to check out your new video. We love you. God loves you.
Wait.
Patriot Gallery.
I'm just saying that because there was a court case in Michigan where they're letting them mutilate girls.
The FGM.
For freedom of religion. No, you can't harm somebody
I
else.
think that
according to your religion, it's not freedom of religion.
I think that is a video that Michelle and I need to just
every
make.
single person,
like we did today.
Yeah,
even children.
We did do a couple of videos today. Leah and I each did, so you can check those out. They're in the Resistance Chicks section. Videos on our YouTube channel on Mass Faith 3 and on Resistance Chicks as well. So we're going to try to do some more shorter videos, which was something we wanted to incorporate.
I really want you to watch my silver video.
Yeah, she wants you to watch her silver video.
Very passionate about it.
It's not just a conspiracy theory.
If it's the truth.
Like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications.
Find us on Facebook.
And follow us on Twitter, even though I've lost the password and can't get in. We love you. God loves you. God bless. We'll be back here on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to cover our top European and UK news. And I'm going to take all my goodies And I'm just going to sit. No, I better eat. I'm going to eat leftover Thanksgiving first. And then I will come back and sit. So Scotty, I don't know where Scotty went. He was here and then he's gone. Thank you, Brian.
Scotty
thank you for this.
Scotty, good.
This cross. Maya, you were a movie star and we love you. I think I've covered everything.
You have.
And we'll see you guys back here
Love
on
you guys.
Sunday. Love you. Adios.
I was cold, all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid, but you call my name.